Hi, beautiful people. Everything I share is for educational purposes only. I'm going to get into the commentary. I tried to do a stream earlier where we had a discussion about some of the things that I talk about. That didn't go well. We will not be doing that again. We will not be doing that again. I just shared with you clips that kind of sums up what's happening in the world, and hopefully you'll like the commentary and we'll get something from it, okay? Let me know if the volume is not that great. Chakra King Black, what's good? Can you hear me okay? I'm feeling a little today. What's good with you? All right. Let me see. Happy Wednesday. It sounds like static. Sounds static. Hey, Cuban Crisis. You guys ready? Dirty Bow. What's good with you guys? Oh, I got beat up about my commentary today. You guys. So make sure you double tap the screen. You know, I get a lot of hate when I share the news, but we're going to share it anyway. It was January 6th. Oh, I got to mention this. January 6th, yesterday, the anniversary of what some would call the insurrection. And maybe that's why some of my comments were a little harsh, but I didn't cause the insurrection, as you guys call it. No, I didn't make it happen. But it was pretty tense yesterday. It's staticky. Oh my goodness gracious. My sound is vibrating. Okay, let me try to fix that. Lionel, man, it was so not. It was rough, but I won't do that again. If I wanted to argue about Donald Trump, I could do that with somebody in my family. But okay, let me fix the sound before I. Too close to you guys. Hold on. All right, you guys. Is it still static? Turn the vibe. What are you talking about? Hold on. Should I switch back my microphone to my computer? I hope I don't mess this up. Let me try. How's that? Or is it still bad? Is it still bad? It's still bad? That's worse? Okay, wait. Why does it sound like, oh my God, okay. Today's not my day. I'm sorry. It's good. Try again. Echo cancellation. Reduce background noise. Let me switch back to my regular microphone. How's that? What's up? You got your sip hoodie, your pathway. You can see up the rest. Shut up. Can you guys hear me now? I can hear you. Leave it alone. You good? Okay. Let's get to the video. Okay, you guys. Let's see. Be nice in the chat. At least be respectful. Let's go. Wait, I don't hear anything. Dang, come on it.
Hello, everybody. Nate Foy here, Fox News correspondent outside the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York. This is where Nicolas Maduro is being held. It's quite a large facility. It holds 1,600 inmates and some high-profile inmates. This is where Luigi Mangione was held, Ghislaine Maxwell, and it is not supposed to be too comfortable in there. There have been reports of violence over the years and not necessarily comfortable conditions. So what a change the last week has brought for Maduro, who on Saturday morning, in the early morning hours of Saturday, was at home in Venezuela, in Caracas, when a U.S. military operation. They extracted him and his wife, Celia Flores. We're learning today that the military officer, 24 security. There's a decent military presence, or pardon me, there's a decent media presence. We're not seeing any protesters like we did throughout the weekend. There were about 100 protesters on Sunday. We saw protesters outside Maduro's arraignment yesterday on both sides of the issue. But today it's pretty quiet, as this is where he will be until his next court appearance coming up in March. In the meantime, as he awaits his next court appearance in a jail cell here in Brooklyn, he's beefing up his legal team. He hired another lawyer today, a guy by the name of Bruce Fine. He's a former DOJ and FCC lawyer. And he had quite an interesting arraignment yesterday where multiple times in the arraignment, he said that he is still the president of Venezuela. And at one point, the judge had to cut him off when he was asking Maduro to identify himself. Maduro said that he was a kidnapped president and was taken from his home, started going into his story of how he got there. And the judge said that he will have his moment in court to address how this has all played out, and kind of depends on what his defense will be. But that time in court will come. And at that moment, he just needed him to identify himself, which he eventually did. There was another interesting moment at the very end of the arraignment where a man stood up and in Spanish said to Maduro that he will pay for his crimes, to which Maduro said that he is a kidnapped president once more. And then he called himself a prisoner of war. So, yeah, Maduro was taking notes throughout. His body language was somewhat neutral. He was reportedly grasping onto the handle on his seat, but his face was, not showing too much emotions. He seemed to be a bit more into it, a bit more forceful in his defense of his innocence rather than his wife, Celia Flores. Both of them charged with drug trafficking and weapons offenses. They pleaded not guilty. The lawyers for each of them did not seek bail, but indicated that they would at a later date. So where we stand right now is the next court appearance is March 17th. Until then, Maduro will be here at the MDC in Brooklyn. Something that is pretty interesting is that there's another inmate here who could end up being a star witness in the government's case against Maduro. So this is a former ally, a former head of Venezuela's military intelligence. His name is Hugo Carvajal, and he recently, back in June, pleaded guilty to essentially the same charges as part of the initial 2020 indictment against Maduro. And he faces the possibility of life in prison. Now, these two men have an interesting past. This guy, Carvajal, was very close with former Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez and initially served faithfully under Maduro. But then the two men had a break as Venezuela's economy was collapsing. Carvajal supported Maduro's opponent, a guy by the name of Juan Guaido. And then Maduro accused him of treason, kicked him out of the military. And at that point, Carvajal left the country, eventually was arrested in Spain, and then extradited to the United States, where he went on trial in 2023 and recently pled guilty to drug trafficking and weapons offenses as part of the same indictment that Maduro was initially charged in. So he's supposed to be sentenced next month, and it would make sense that he would end up being a key witness here to, in his view, potentially get some years knocked off his sentence if he's a cooperating witness and testifying against Maduro. But yeah, just obviously there's a whole lot going on at the White House in Washington D.C. and around the entire world as the United States is taking a very hands-on approach with what happens next in Venezuela and American oil companies rebuilding the infrastructure in Venezuela and how that's all going to look, and then the impacts on the countries that typically buy Venezuelan oil. A lot of shakeups geopolitically as a result of this, and there's all the reactions on Capitol Hill about whether or not what the Trump administration did or how they did it was correct or not. But what we're focusing on right now is Maduro here in New York and his upcoming trial. There's questions about what his defense will be. You look at the previous president of Panama who tried to argue during a trial of drug trafficking charges that he was immune as a president of a country, which generally is the international law standard. But it didn't work in his case. And a lot of legal experts say that that won't work for Maduro, considering the United States doesn't consider him the lawful president of Venezuela, that he was an illegitimate dictator who defied the results of not one but two presidential elections. So a lot of legal experts think that that won't work for Maduro. And if you go through the 25-page indictment, there are a lot of specifics about the scale at which Maduro worked with narco terrorists to import cocaine into the United States, moving the cocaine from the producers in Colombia, then to Venezuela, and then eventually mostly to Central America, and then eventually the United States after that, working with groups like Tren de Aragua, which you've heard President Trump speak extensively about, with the Tren de Aragua problem that has arisen specifically here in New York. And, Trump has said that one of the main issues he had with Maduro was that Venezuela emptied out their prisons and sent a lot of criminals to the United States under the Biden administration when the border was essentially wide open. And then we've seen the ramifications of that. But in that 25-page indictment, Maduro is accused of providing diplomatic cover for private flights as the foreign minister of Venezuela before he became the president, and then also selling diplomatic passports to drug traffickers. His wife is accused of accepting bribes to facilitate meetings with drug traffickers, and both of them are accused of kidnapping and murdering those who threatened their drug empire. So, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting case. We saw UN Ambassador Mike Waltz say yesterday that all of this is going to be played out openly in the U.S. courts. The 25-page indictment is public. You can read it if you'd like. But it appears that the U.S. has a very strong case against Maduro, and it also seems with Hugo Carvajal, the inmate here, the former spy chief of Venezuela under the days of Hugo Chavez, that they have all the witnesses that they need as well. So not looking good for Nicolas Maduro right now as he is in federal custody in Brooklyn. But we'll see how this case plays out. And his lawyers did say that they plan to seek bail at another hearing, perhaps coming up on March 17th. So we'll be here at Fox News Channel, specifically in the New York Bureau, covering all of it. I'm not sure where my producer went. I'm not sure how to read any of your guys' questions. So, hey, Jen, does anybody have questions? No? Okay. I'm told you guys don't have questions. So in that case, give you one more look at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. We got some media here from all over the world. Ooh, it actually looks like we do have a little bit of protesters. They just got here. We'll take a walk down and we'll show you guys. I don't know how to flip this thing. Hold on. I think there we go. All right, so we're outside the federal jail. We've got a reporter doing a live shot there. Got some protesters with Venezuelan flags down here. Another cold day in New York. Not quite as cold as yesterday, where again, we did see hundreds of protesters on both sides of this issue outside the courthouse yesterday. You can see that the NYPD has put a spot here. They've cornered off an area for the protesters to make their voices heard. Let's see what side of these protesters are on. We got one sign here that says "Free Nicolas Maduro" and Celia Flores now. Free President Nicolas Maduro. So yeah, these people are against the U.S. extraction of Maduro and Flores. It happened early Saturday morning in Caracas, Venezuela. We're talking about the U.S. plans to rebuild the oil infrastructure within Venezuela. USA hands off Venezuela. Another sign right here. But you can see not too many protesters here. It looks like about a dozen or so. Far fewer than what we've seen over the weekend or outside the courthouse yesterday. Yeah, that's the latest here from the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. We will continue following this story. Thank you guys for tuning in. Maybe next time we'll have more questions. This is Nate Foy, Fox News correspondent, reporting live from Brooklyn. We'll see you guys.
Governor graciously opened our space as a part of our opening ceremonies, and we're honored to have him here again today to do the press conference with you.
Entire career would go by, also able to see productivity increase. And what we see is loyalty and retention in companies that have paid family and medical leave is really, really high. There's a reason that big Fortune 500 companies all have the program. The problem has always been it's difficult for smaller employers, but it's not difficult in 13 states, Minnesota having the best of those programs amongst them. So I'm incredibly proud over a week of watching this happen. I think it needs to be stated, we're joined here. A special thank you to Reps Frazier and Mann, the authors of this in the House and the Senate. This is one of the most transformational pieces of legislation that Minnesota has passed in decades. An entire career would go by, a successful career, with not doing something like this. These two leaders made that happen. And for me, we have Rep. Sensamira, and I think we're going to be joined by Senator Mohammed, who were instrumental in helping us get this done, helping build the coalition to make this happen. We're implementing the program. We built a modern system around it. It is secure. And we've got the support lines, hundreds of meetings with the team that was there in outreach to employers of ways to make this happen. We have done countless checks on this. And a few weeks ago, as we started to soft launch this thing forward, we did the checks and balance, the go, no-goes. And I just have to tell you, I express my deep gratitude. You've got some of those folks here in the back of the room, an incredible amount of work doing this really important work against a backdrop of making sure that program integrity was of utmost importance. And so I'm incredibly grateful for that. This has helped families succeed. This provides security to Minnesotans. It makes us a destination state for both employers and employees, strengthens what we know needs to happen in communities. And I just have to tell you, I'm incredibly proud of it. We've done a lot of work to make it happen. And it is all about, as you hear here, families, so that parents can bond with their children. It is stunning to me that there are about 3 countries in the world that don't have this. It is an absolute travesty that there are states in this country that don't have the capacity to pay family medical leave. So I would tell all of those states out there and all of those folks, look to Minnesota. We've got a team here. Don't hire them away from me, but we've got a team that's willing to help to build this out, to produce the results that we're seeing and to move forward. With that, I'm going to let you hear from some of the folks who are actually implementing it, know what it means to them. I'm going to turn it over to Kevin Brown to talk a little bit about what it means to his business. Kevin, you got it.
Thank you, Governor. My name is Kevin Brown. I'm the president of the Seward Civic and Commerce Association and the owner of Smart Tech Community Printing. We're a union print shop located just a few blocks north of here in the Seward neighborhood. So about 4 years ago, one of my employees had been with me quite a while, married her college sweetheart, and my wife and I attended her wedding. 3 years ago, on New Year's Day, she gave birth to her daughter. So obviously she wanted to keep her job. I wanted to keep her as an employee. And we had a lot of discussions about how she would get through the time that she needed to take off to bond with her new child. So she agreed to take her 3 weeks of paid vacation time, all in January. And after much deliberation, I agreed that it was the right thing to do to pay her for 3 weeks of paid maternity time. This was pretty expensive. And I spent a lot of hours pulling extra shifts, covering the work that she normally did, as well as paying for contract laborers to cover her shift while she was gone. So small businesses in Minnesota account for about half of the jobs in the state and the majority of new jobs created. However, we pay 18 to 20% more for benefit plans like insurance, short-term disability, if we can get it at all. As the governor stated, it's pretty easy for large corporations to cover that expense, very difficult for small businesses. So one of the things that paid family medical leave does is really level the playing field between small businesses and large businesses. Having every person in the state now have access to paid family leave, people don't have to make the decision of where to work based on the benefits. So I compete with for the same employees with Target Corporate for graphic design, and I've lost a number of employees to Target, not because of the wage structure, but because of the benefits that I was able to provide weren't up to the level that they could get at a large corporation. So this is important to support small businesses in the state of Minnesota, and we're very appreciative. So we just recently figured out what our taxes would be to cover this program based on our first upcoming payroll with the paid family medical leave tax. And it turns out for our staff of 5, it's about $40 per payroll or about $80 per month. So that's about $1,000 a year in additional tax. However, when I had to pay my staff person for 3 weeks paid maternity time, that was over $2,500 and thousands more in wages for contract workers to cover her shift. So in addition to providing a level playing field, this is saving small businesses money in the long run. $1,000 a year is way less than the average cost of hiring and onboarding and training a new employee. And in my case, far less because we have a highly specialized technical business. In addition, there are small business grants available through this program to cover the cost of hiring replacement workers. So for $1,000 a year in taxes, I get, my employees can take paid time off, and I get covered if I have additional expenses because of that leave. I think every small business will tell you that our success or our failure is dependent on our employees. And this is a great step forward in being able to provide the benefits across the board that will attract and retain the best talent. I know that in Washington, D.C., empathy has become a dirty word, but we have a little secret here in the heartland. We know that caring for our employees, our families, our neighbors, and our community is good for business. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lillian Anderson, and I am the owner of Extensions Hair and Wigs. It's located right in this building at the corner. I am so emotional and so happy. I don't even know where to start. I'm originated from Cameroon, West Africa. I've been here. After 30 years, I stopped counting, so don't ask me how long. But Minnesota has been one of the places that like we will say, my little village. I knew this was the right state when I relocated to United States. And this Minnesota Pay Leave program that just came up, I would really like to thank the governor and the legislation that came up with this bill. I wish that it would have happened during the time that I had an ill mother. I was able to take care of her. She was going through, diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and I had to take care of her for 7 years, and she passed. And running a business and being able to take care of your loved one was really, really difficult. And not only that, this bill is really going to help a lot of the clients because I specialize on hair and hair replacement. I serve a lot of customers that are going through alopecia, hair loss, or cancer treatment. And I have a lot of them that just being listening to them and what they go through emotionally during the time of, when we sit and talk. And some of them are really, really being in the corporate world where they work, they're ending up losing their job because they did not have enough time to really fight the disease. And so with this opportunity for small business like myself, and also caregivers, which I did, and also, just the whole demographic of business people, this is a great opportunity for us, for Minnesotans, and we really appreciate this bill being passed and this pay leave program, what it's going to do and help people across. And also I really am so happy because it's going to help a lot of the customers that I've served that have not been able to have some time off during the time of stress or just what they've been going through. This is really going to help them at least being able to manage whatever, illness they're going through. So thanks, everyone.
Morning, everybody. My name is Matt Verlick, and I have the honor of serving as the Governor's Commissioner of the Department of Employment and Economic Development. It's wonderful to be in this building, which is a deed grantee under the Main Street Revitalization Program. And so wonderful to see how this place has blossomed. And thank you so much for having us here today. Thanks to all for sharing those powerful stories. I walked in the door today with a lot of pride in this program, pride on behalf of our team, some of whom are here and who have stood this up, knowing some of the great stories that this program will facilitate, some of the caring moments that will be possible. And now we've heard even more of them, and I feel even more pride. And what you hear today emphasizes maybe a little bit different aspect of the program. We have talked so much about the wonderful impacts for this program on workers, and as we say, giving Minnesotans time for the moments that matter without having to sacrifice their financial security. And you've heard today also how good this is for businesses, and small businesses in particular, because of that opportunity to retain employees that you might otherwise lose, because of the opportunity to save money. Kevin, thank you so much for sharing that story. So obviously a great impact of this program. We've taken the 2.5 years that we had since our great legislative champions helped to make this a reality, and used all of that time to stand up the program with lots of features that you've heard talked about already. The governor directed us to make sure this was accessible and simple for consumers to use, for potential leave takers to go onto a simple website and platform that they could access. We wanted to make it also, per the governor's direction, transparent for businesses and efficient for businesses, eliminating redundancies, et cetera, that might have otherwise slowed things down. And then finally, to emphasize building in integrity features to ensure at multiple layers that those who would try to abuse the program will be thwarted, that will be prevented, and we'll ensure that all the dollars going into the program are used for the purposes which they were intended. So, having done a beta launch back in November, having then done a soft launch in December, also at a business, Martha's Deli, fantastic deli, great homemade bread there, and then launched the program in full days ahead of time. We feel great about how we used that time, and most important of all, there are now parents with beautiful babies like that one who are spending extra time with those children and otherwise taking part in approved leaves in ways that will ripple beneficially across generations. Major impact. So at this point, I am meant to give back the podium to the governor, who I think is going to invite our legislators to speak. If I can just take a moment of personal privilege, given that the governor made some news yesterday, I want to emphasize that we talk about public service, and it's a term that rolls off the tongue, and maybe we don't think about what it means. The governor, you know from his biography, has embodied public service as a teacher and as a coach and as a soldier and as a member of Congress and now as our chief executive in this state. All of those jobs are of the sort that don't necessarily lead to personal enrichment, but they do allow you to enrich the lives of the people whose lives your work touches if you do the job well. And my goodness, look at how the governor has done this job with energy, with integrity, with selflessness, and with extraordinary impact. So thank you very much, Governor, for your service.
Good morning, everyone. Elise Smith from Senate District 50. We're so excited that this program is rolling out so that families have the opportunity to take care of themselves and others. And I just want to touch upon the why. Why did we work over a decade on this bill? Why did we work across the entire state on making this the best program possible? And we know that paid leave decreases hospitalizations for infants, it decreases clinic visits, it decreases maternal morbidity and mortality, it decreases postpartum depression, it decreases preterm labor, it has incredible health impacts. And as we heard, it increases productivity and profitability for small businesses, especially, like the governor said, there is a reason why the biggest business in the state already had this program in place. It closes the wage gap with gender wage gap and the racial wage gap. And so this program has benefits across all sectors. And we are very, very excited to be part of it and to have Minnesota be part of it. I do want to thank Deed for all the work that they have done, Greg and Evan, and the entire team who at night go to bed knowing that they spent their days making somebody's life much easier. Which is really, really special. And a side note too, I do want to thank the governor myself also for a different reason. I am still a practicing physician, and I know that during COVID, extremely difficult decisions were made. And I think we would have been significantly worse off if we had had somebody else in charge. And I do believe that the decisions that were made by Governor Walz during COVID-19 saved hundreds, if not thousands, of lives of Minnesotans. So I want to personally thank him for that.
Thank you, Dr. Mann.
Good morning, everybody. Representative Cedric Frazier, District 43A, which covers the cities of Crystal and New Hope. I took over Carrie DeVille after Ruth Richardson left the House. She was extremely instrumental when we passed it in 2023. I took it over after to make technical changes and to continue to usher it through to where it is today. Again, I would say thank my folks from Reed, Evan, and Greg. Thank you all, Commissioner, thank you all, and obviously the governor for being steadfast and making sure that we got to this point here today. And Dr. Mann, Senator Dr. Mann mentioned a lot of the things that I would have said foundationally, but I'll just say this: in this moment of chaos and uncertainty, this is a shining in the bright light for many of our workers in the state to at least know that they don't have to worry about making a decision between a paycheck and taking care of themselves, taking care of their families, or their loved ones. So I'm just happy that we're here this day. All systems are go, things are going well, and I thank you all for being here to cover this story.
Thank you. Thank you all again. It's exciting. We'll hear the stories. We'll take on-topic questions. I'll be glad to take some off-topic after we let these folks go, but any on-topic to the folks here.
Regarding oversight of the program, I'm just going to throw a bunch of questions here. Like, which agency will provide oversight? Who will be the investigators? Will be audited? How often? Will the Attorney General's office play a role in that? Can you just speak to that?
Those conducting oversight will, to a certain extent, probably make themselves known to us. We are responsible for implementing it in a way that has multiple layers of protection against misuse. And so we already take lots of questions from the legislature, and no doubt we'll have more of those as well. Just in terms of the integrity features, of course, you have to verify your identity on the front end, typically with a selfie and your driver's license. We need verification of any claim of the need for leave. And so if it's for welcoming a baby, we need to have documentation verifying that. Or if it's for a medical condition, we need to have documentation from a legitimate medical provider. So those, and then other cross checks that we can do regarding payroll data, et cetera. That's how we help to ensure integrity. And then we invite others, and we will continue to be transparent about how the program is operating so that they can do their scrutiny and do their due diligence.
Governor, what about people who are concerned about fraud and trusting another new state government program? Broadly, what words would you have about people's uncertainty?
Look, we'll put these things in. We've known this has been out there, and I think you heard Commissioner Verlick say that. DEED runs the unemployment insurance too. We know that those programs are out there. I don't think that got reported, but there was an analysis done on the states across the country, unemployment insurance. I think Iowa and Minnesota were 1 and 2 and the most secure. So there's a lot of safeguards in place, and we'll continue to deliver that. And I said, I told you yesterday, and I'll continue to say it, I will be there to make sure. Tim O'Malley and our team over there on program integrity, BCA, we have more tools that will continue to do this. The buck stops with me on this, and that is absolutely true, but I want to be very clear on this too. If the buck stops with me on when there's problems, the buck stops with me on successes. Not a single Republican supported this. So every Minnesotan from here on forward, whoever uses this program, there is no bit of thanks that would go to the Republican legislators who did all they could to stop this. So I will take full responsibility. We have safeguards in place. We'll do that. But I think the report on this is, as you're hearing the stories here, I'll take some credit for that because we put this program in place. We got it done. We implemented it. We did the work for 2.5 years, and lots of things worked. Your highways get plowed. I'll take credit for that too. The Republicans voted against my budget bill that did work with that. Our schools have the money to pay their teachers. I'll take credit for that too. The issue here is focusing on this, and they have every right to do so. The positive story of this is parents with their children. The Republicans' goal is to have none of those programs. And I can guarantee you one way to ensure there's no fraud, just don't do the program. Just don't do the program. And then you will look like states who rank at the bottom in every single initiative. So we have a responsibility to continue to do better on this, but I'm going to take credit when we're ranked at the top on almost every single category because of these programs. So we all know what's at stake here. This team knows that, and we said it. They took that responsibility to do it, and I will encourage them and encourage our folks that are out there on program integrity, do everything possible. If you attempt to try and collect paid family and medical leave illegally, you will be prosecuted and you will be jailed. It's as simple as that. So do I think people will try and do that? Certainly, I think people will try and do that. They're not going to get away with it, but they'll do that.
Commissioner, for
roughly 3,000 people who are already on leave. When do the payments start? Can they expect like this Friday, or is there a little bit of a lag?
I think within days is that right? 12th. Yeah, so the 12th, and we have members of the team there.
On the 12th, which is the first one.
Yeah.
Commissioner, can you gave an update on Friday on the numbers through the first couple of days of the program? What have you guys seen since that update, and has that tapered off a little bit? Are you guys still having the same kind of, I think you said a week turnaround on Friday?
Right.
What's that look like?
Yeah, and we did an availability yesterday and gave an update as well. There has been some reporting that I think was mistaken about how many applications have come in since the beginning of January versus when we opened for beta launch. So the numbers, I think, were 12,000 by January 2nd, which reflects all the way back to November. We had, I want to say, around 700 per day coming in over the weekend. On the business days, we've been closer to 2,000 coming in per day. And so I think the governor cited the number of a total of roughly 17,000. We want to emphasize that that is applicants. And then, of course, our team at DEED needs to do the adjudication where we're reviewing all the details and approving some, rejecting others, and in other cases, seeking additional information so that we can render a judgment one way or the other.
Do you have a sense of your approval rejection rate so far?
I don't know how much we've reflected there. I'd have to get back to you on the details on that one, yeah.
Since fraud has become such a topic of conversation, is there any last minute security measures you all put in place on this program you can speak upon?
I would say not last minute, in the sense that we have known from the beginning how important it is to ensure high integrity in this program. And as the governor referenced, we do run unemployment insurance and have been able to take lessons from how we ensure a high level of integrity in that program. And we rank very highly. And then likewise have had the benefit of learning from the other states that have already done this. And the legislative champions with the governor and lieutenant governor, of course, crafted a version that
I want to thank you all. You're special people. And I want to just say that, I announced I was coming over here and I said, I love those Republicans. And I meant it. I said, except for maybe a couple I don't love. But the people in this room, I don't know if those couple are here. I don't know. I don't care if they're here or not. But we love you. And you've done an amazing job. You love the country. You're doing what's right for the country. And I want to wish everybody a happy new year, the most successful House Republican majority in decades. And we did it with not a big majority, right? That was not a big majority, but it's a unified majority, and it's people that know what it takes to make America great again. So together we had 12 months of unprecedented success in 2025, and now we're going to make history and break records with the epic midterm victory that we're going to pull off. It just doesn't seem to happen for people that win the presidency. It's an amazing phenomenon. You win the presidency, and we sure as hell are having a successful presidency. I will say that. But even if it's a successful presidency, there's been nothing like what we're doing. We had a very good day 2 days ago, too. But even if it's successful, they don't win. I don't know what it is. There's something psychological, like you vote against. You can win by a lot. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions. We won everything. But they say that when you win the presidency, you lose the midterm. So you're all brilliant people. Most of you are in this business longer than me. That makes me smarter than you, because look where I am, right? No, it doesn't. But I wish you could explain to me what the hell's going on with the mind of the public, because we have the right policy. They don't. They have horrible policy. They do stick together. They're vicious people, and they stick together like glue. They don't have a couple of the people that we have. A couple of people, not too many, really very few. And that's why I want to just say that before we go any further, I want to express our tremendous sorrow at the loss of a great member, a great member, Congressman Doug LaMalfa, who passed away yesterday, as you probably have heard. And he was the leader of the Western Caucus, a fierce champion on California water issues. He was great on water. He wanted to release the water, he'd scream at him. And a true defender of American children. He was a defender of everybody. And our hearts go out to his wife, Jill, and his entire family. You know, he voted with me 100% of the time. And by the way, he wasn't a 3 o'clock in the morning person. Do you know what I mean by that? Where the speaker goes, sir, could you call up? Could you call? I said, what time is it, speaker? Sir, it's 3 in the morning. Could you make a couple of calls? How many? 9. So I'd start calling 3 in the morning. I said, I shouldn't use any names. I'm just going to create problems. But hi, Jim, and I'm not talking about Jim Jordan. I never had to call 3 in the morning for him. But I said, hi, Jim, how you doing? I just called to say hello, 3 in the okay, sir. Sir, you haven't spoken to me in 3 years, and it's now 3 in the morning, so I know what you want. You want my vote? And usually almost always they'd give it, but they wanted to be called. And with Doug, I never had to call. He was with us right from the beginning. I love those guys. I must say I probably love them the best, the guys that I don't have to call. They know we're doing the right thing. I have a couple that are going to be with us all the way, but they just want the call. They want love. They need love. They're more insecure than most of you. It's true. No, most of you are secure people. You're all laughing. No, most of you are secure people. I had a couple say, look, I could have Trump call me all the time. I just have to break his ass a little bit. And he'll be calling. But I appreciate those. We actually had a little party. We opened up a beautiful section of the White House in the Rose Garden, and we had a party for all of those people that I never speak to and vote for me. And, I spoke to Doug, but I didn't speak to him never had a problem. And I was really saddened by his passing and was thinking about not even doing the speech in his honor. But then I decided that I have to do it in his honor. I'll do it in his honor because he would have wanted it that way. He would have wanted it that way. He would have said, do that speech. Are you kidding me? Do the speech, big guy. But he was a fantastic person. Man, that was a quick one. I don't know quite yet what happened, but boy, it's a tough one. He was just with us. He was our friend, all of us, every one of us. And I also want to send our best wishes to Congressman Jim Baird and his wife, who are recovering from a car accident. They're going to be okay, but they had a pretty bad accident. And we're praying that they get out of that hospital very quickly. He's going to be fine. She's going to be fine, but it was a bad accident. And I want to thank the man who has been central to so many of our triumphs. He really has been. He's the guy that would call me to make those calls all the time. He's always working. And he's a nice person. He's a high quality person. But I want to tell you, he's a very tough cookie. I've seen both sides. Not often do I have to see the other side because he's just, by nature, he's a very fine, religious. I like that. He's a religious person. I like that. I like religious people. It usually means they're more honest. Sometimes it doesn't happen that way. I've had some real religious ones that did numbers on me, and I said, I'm going to get them someday. They got me by surprise, but it's usually good, okay, right? And his name is Mike Johnson, Speaker Mike Johnson. He has my complete and total endorsement. Stand up, Speaker. So, but it is true. A lot of times they'll say, I wish Mike were tougher. He's tough. He's tough as anybody in the room, actually. But can't be tough when you have a majority of 3. And now, sadly, a little bit less than that. A little bit less than that, maybe. But you can't be Trump. You can't, I want you. You make 10 enemies, 20 enemies. That's the end of that, right? Everybody loves him. I would say there's one person he's given up on. I mean, I think he just gave up on this guy. He's so bad. He never votes for us. But no matter how good, he won't vote for us. There's a sickness there. There's something wrong. You can have the greatest bill, the greatest for the country. Forget about for Republicans. Great, great, great for the country. I'm a no vote. We don't even bother calling him at 3 a.m, do we? Huh? But I want to thank another guy who's as tough as they come, because he went through something that none of us have gone through. I went through a little shot, but I get that throbbing feeling every once in a while. But what he went through was incredible. And that Steve Scalise, he got hit hard. Where's Steve? Steve. He's a tough cookie. He was dead. I went to the hospital. His wife was crying so much. It was a mess. Oh, yeah, she loves you. That's the only thing I learned about Steve, that he has a wife who loves him. Because I've gone to hospitals where guys are in bad shape and the wife couldn't care less. She's waiting. She's looking for the next guy. Who's the next guy down the pike? Who the hell is the next guy? He's died. I said, it's so bad. Oh, yeah. I had one where the dog died and the husband died at the same time. I said, it's so sad. Yes, I love this dog so much. She couldn't give it, and the guy left her a fortune. Can you imagine? He shouldn't have left her anything, but she was much more concerned. Still, the dog was devastated. The husband, he was like an afterthought. Your wife loves you, Steve. She's a great wife. Another one who has a great wife, Jackie, is Tom Emmer, right? Look at you. You have a great wife, but you haven't been tested like these guys. You haven't. We don't want to test her, right? She's incredible. She's a strong, beautiful, great person. She's a great person. She actually liked me at the beginning when we were having little fights. We weren't even having fights. We just didn't know each other. We didn't know each other. And I heard he said something negative about me. He was sort of right about the subject, but you're not supposed to say ever, even though you're right. But Jackie was saying, I'm telling you, he's a great guy. He's good. He's going to be a great president, blah, blah, blah. She was fighting for me. And now I love this guy. He's great. She was right about both of us, I think, right? But Tom has been incredible. He's incredible at what he does. He's a great team player. Your conference chair, Lisa McLean, is so strong and powerful and beautiful. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you. And I think their broadcast, we said we don't care if the press comes or not. So when I say that, that means that they're broadcasting all this, and I'm letting my feelings out because it's true. I feel that way about so many people in the room. I could say it about many of the people in the room. Some I don't know as well, but many of the people in the room. They're incredible people. You're incredible what you're doing. We also have another one, Richard Hudson, chairman, NRCC. Richard's always in there. Always with a smile. No matter what's happening, Richard. He always has a smile. He's just a positive guy, smart and positive. Thank you, Richard. Really appreciate it. You do a great job. Republican Policy Committee Chairman, Kevin Hearn. Kevin, where are you, Kevin? Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Did a great job. Every one of you got to be proud of yourselves. And basically the entire House Republican Conference. It's been really amazing what you've done. And we're going to give you some ammunition today. I said, I'd love to make a speech. Speaker asked me, would you make a speech? I said, sure. You think Biden would do that? Would you make a speech? What? First of all, people wouldn't ask him to make a speech because it never worked out well, right? Could never find the exits. You finish, look, stare here, stare there, stare here. You could jump off the front if you had to. No matter what he did, he got himself into trouble. So basically, they didn't ask him to, but if he did, it wouldn't be good. But it's good with me because, we have so much ammunition. We have ammunition. The problem is the fake news. That's why I like being on. I'd much rather do live television than do non-live because when they say, as an example in my speech, peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol, peacefully and patriotically. Do you know that the Unselect Committee didn't report it, that I said those words? Do you know that the news never reported the words walk or march peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol? Do you know they never reported it? It's a scandal. The Unselect Committee never reported that. They never reported that Nancy Pelosi was offered 10,000 soldiers, National Guard soldiers, whatever you want. No, I don't want them. And the mayor. The mayors weren't running. She was more honorable about it. But Nancy got caught when her daughter did a documentary. She's a documentariist. And she has her mother saying, it's my fault. I should have taken the soldiers or something. I saw that in the documentary. I said, whoa, this was a major story. Has she spoken to her daughter since that, you know? But they just, you know, they are vicious people, even on the attack. And it was an amazing military feat that took place yesterday. Think of it, an amazing military. The people are saying, well, thank you. You know, people are saying it goes down with one of the most incredible. It was so complex, 152 airplanes, many, talk about boots on the ground. We had a lot of boots on the ground. But it was amazing. And think of it, nobody was killed. And on the other side, a lot of people were killed. Unfortunately, I say that, soldiers. Cubans, mostly Cubans, but many killed. And they knew we were coming and they were protected and our guys weren't. You know, our guys are jumping out of helicopters and you're not protected, and they were, but it was so brilliant. The electricity for almost the entire country was, boom, turned on. That's when they knew there was a problem. There was no electricity. Caracas, there's no electricity. It's not the only people with lights were the people that had candles. It was just off. So we sort of got them a little by surprise, but it was brilliant tactically. It was an incredible thing. But I watched where Schumer, he's such a bad guy. I mean, I've known the guy for a long time, and he's such a bad guy. You know, at some point they should say, you know, you did a great job. Thank you. Congratulations. Wouldn't it be good? I would say that if they did a good job, their philosophies are so different. But if they did a good job, I'd be happy for the country. They've been after this guy for years and years and years. And, you know, he's a violent guy. He gets up there and he tries to imitate my dance a little bit. But he's a violent guy. And he's killed millions of people. He's tortured. They have a torture chamber in the middle of Caracas that they're closing up. But he's tortured people. And now what they do, the radical left, they actually have people, and it's hard to get them. They're all paid people. Most of these people are paid. You know they're paid when they have brand new, beautiful printed signs by like the highest quality printer. And you have a woman, free Maduro. And the sign is before we even did the attack. You know, free Maduro. Why do you want him freed? I don't know, but he should be free. Oh, she reads the sign. What does that say? It says free. Well, that's what I believe. And you know, you see the sign. It's like, Lisa, we should all have quality signage like that. The one thing I want their sign maker. The guy is great. He does beautiful signage. You know, the old days was better when they used to write out their own sign, wasn't it? They'd make a sign in the basement. They'd have an old broken board holding up a sign and it's made with a magic marker, sloppy as hell, and it meant something. But today, when you have that yellow and black, they should use different colors a little bit. But the yellow is a beautiful shade of yellow. No, I want to find out who that is. I want him to work for the Republican campaign. He's much better than our guy, whoever the guy is. But the United States proved once again that we have the most powerful, most lethal, most sophisticated, and most fearsome. It's a fearsome military on planet Earth, and it's not even close. You know, I've been saying it for a long time. Nobody can take us. Nobody. We don't want to have it. We don't have a discussion, but You read all and you see everything else. Nobody could have done that. Nobody has our weapons. Nobody has the quality of our weapons. The problem is we don't produce them fast enough. We're going to start producing them much faster. We're going to be very tough on the companies. We have the best weapons in the world, but it takes too long to get them, including allies. When allies want to buy them, they have to wait 4 years for a plane, 5 years for a helicopter. We're not letting that happen anymore. We're telling our defense contractors, you're going to start building faster. You know, guy makes... I have a big problem with it. I'm the king. I have sold more Boeings than any human being on earth. They gave me an award, Salesman of the Year. I said, what about Salesman of the in the history of Boeing? I've sold more Boeing planes than any man in history by far, probably over 1,000. Over 1,000 planes. I said, that's the good news. But why should they wait 3-4 years to get a plane? They should build them, get them immediately. The F-35s, it takes too long to get them. The Apache helicopter. I mean, I had India coming to me, sir, I've been waiting 5 years. We're changing it. We're changing it. India ordered 68 Apaches, and Prime Minister Modi came to see me. Sir, may I see you, please? Yes, I have a very good relationship with him. He's not that happy with me because, you know, they're paying a lot of tariffs now because they're not doing the oil, but they are. They've now reduced it very substantially, as you know, from Russia. We're getting rich because of tariffs, by the way. I hope everyone understands that. They hate to report. We're going to have over $650 billion poured into our country or coming in shortly because of tariffs. You know, they're finding all of these pockets of money. A couple of weeks ago, sir, we're off by $39 billion. Oh, is that good or bad? Meaning, do we have it or are we short of it? Sir, it's $39 billion that we can't account for. That means we have an extra 39. Yes, sir. I said, well, what are you saying? We just don't know where it came from. I said, check the tariff shelf. Sir, that tariff doesn't start until September. I said, no. It started about a month and a half ago. Check it. Comes back 25 minutes later. Sir, you were right. It came from tariffs. This never happened to us before, where we find plus 39 billion, not million, plus 39 billion. They were missing. We've taken in $650 billion or shortcoming, and that's because I'm being nice. If I want to be, and we have national security because of tariffs. And frankly, we have a big Supreme Court case. I hope they do what's good for our country. I hope they do the right thing. The president has to be able to wheel and deal with tariffs. And now, if you have the right president, it's good. You have the wrong president, you know, if you have the wrong president, nothing's good. Tariffs are the least of your problems. We found that out for 4 years. We had the worst president, did the worst job. They had the worst policy. We have to even run against these people. Now, I won't say cancel the election. They should cancel the election because the fake news will say, he wants the elections canceled. He's a dictator. They always call me a dictator. Nobody's worse than Obama and the people that surrounded Biden. Not Biden. I don't think it was Biden. He didn't know what the hell was going on, okay? The election was rigged. He had no idea what happened. He still doesn't. The auto pen. And by the way, you ought to make a big deal out of the auto pen. The auto pen was your president because most of the things were signed by auto pen. And you're not allowed to do that. I signed very little. Now I just sign everything because it's just so crazy. But, you know, like I had the other day, we elevated a general to 4 stars. I think you should sign that. You know, that's a big deal. A general did a great job, was elevated to 4 stars. And I had the gentleman, and I signed it in front of him, held it up. You know, you got to sign that. You can't give it to an auto pen. And you can always tell an auto pen. One thing, it has 2 little tiny dots. You know that? 2 little dots. You know what that's from? 2 pins. They go bing, bing. They're wonderful things. But you got to sign it. And the law is you have to sign it. If somebody's, you know, telling the auto pen person, he has to be authorized by the president of the United States. Well, he wasn't. The guy barely knew the president. How many times did you speak to the president, right? He said 2. And they just spoke about the weather. It was like this. But he was never authorized to sign. And I think it's, 95% of the things were signed by auto pen. You can tell because the auto pen is a nice, clean signature, and his signature is a mess. The only thing he signed was, which is nice, was Hunter's pardon. That's the only thing that we can find that he signed. Most of it he didn't sign. So somebody's sending papers to sign, and he wasn't the president. First of all, the election was rigged. You ought to have voter ID. You ought to insist on it. You ought to insist on it. Can you imagine? In California, they not only don't have voter ID, but if an official at the voting booths, which they don't have, by the way, because it's all mail, if an official, a voting official, even asks somebody for voter ID, sir, would like to see your identification. Do you come from our country? They put him in jail for tampering with the election. Okay? We got to straighten this out before it gets too crazy. California is more corrupt than any place. California is more corrupt than Minnesota. And I won Minnesota. Well, Tom's going, I think so. Well, it's close. It can't be proportionately, probably nothing's more corrupt, right? Yeah, right. He says you got to win. I'll tell you what, I did great there 3 times. I was surprised 3 times. Those elections are corrupt. They got you one time too, but I heard a long time ago, but they got you. But they got to straighten those out. But we have to have voter ID. And you know, when you confront a Democrat about voter ID, like in a debate or something, I said it a couple of times with Biden, and just one, they're very embarrassed when they say, we want voter ID, voter identification. The only reason somebody doesn't want that is because they want to cheat. Our elections are crooked as hell. And you can not only win elections over that, and not only win future elections, but you'll win every debate because the public is really angry about it. And you ought to pass the SAFE Act, or whatever you're going to call it. Are we going to SAVE Act or the Save America Act? I think we're going to change the name a little bit. You're going to put that up for a vote? I think everybody in this room certainly should do it. And it's a bad vote for them because they're voting against things like voter ID and other things that are almost equal to voter ID. But when somebody says, no, we don't want voter ID, that means they're crooked. And the public understands it. You win elections with that. But I think it would be really important, Save America Act, if you would put that up for a vote. It's got my total endorsement. And all it is common sense things about the election. And they'll fight it like crazy because they cheat. That's the only way they can win. When you have policy so bad, when you have policy with men and women's sports, and they fight like hell for it. They still are. I saw the other day a person that you know very well, a congressman, was fighting like hell. And, you know, I was out the other day with somebody, and I was with an ex-football player. The guy was massive. His leg was like this. And a young woman who plays flag football. And she's very good, supposedly, as an athlete. She's smaller than this guy's leg. Okay? And if they were playing football together, he wouldn't even have to run. He could just keep walking. They couldn't take him down. You know, the guy, he can't even believe it. But there's so many. They had a race, a long-distance race. They had champion men, women, you know, one of those marathon deals. The man finished 5 hours and 14 minutes and 36 seconds sooner. He beat the champion woman by 5 hours. It's so demeaning to women. It's so ridiculous, right? It's so ridiculous. The weightlifting, take a look at the weightlifting records. One record stood for 18 years, and it was broken by 112 pounds. They couldn't get 1/8 of an ounce, you know? They'd put an 1/8 of an ounce on. Then she's going to break the record for her mom, who's sitting in the front with her father. I'm going to break it. And she's out there. We're adding 1/8 of an ounce to each side. This record has stood, ladies and gentlemen, for 18 years. But she's going to do it. She's looking to get into the Olympics, right? And she gets up, and they put a little tiny thing like this, little thing. And my wife, by the way, my wife hates when I do this. She said, you know, she's a very classy person, right? She said, it's so unpresidential. I said, but I did become president. She hates when I dance. I said, everybody wants me to dance. Darling, it's not presidential. She actually said, Could you imagine FDR dancing? She said that to me. And I said, there's a long history that perhaps she doesn't know. Because he was an elegant fellow, even as a Democrat, right? He was the attack by Japan, you know, he was quite elegant, but he wouldn't be doing this. But nor would too many others. But she says, darling, please, the weightlifting is terrible. And I have to say this, the dancing they really like. She said, they don't like it, they're just being nice to you. I said, that's not right. The place goes crazy. They're screaming, dance, please. But the weightlifting, but no, the girl gets up. And you see, I want to be more, but I have somebody watching. I want to be more effusive. I want to really, yeah. But she gets it, and drops the thing, walks off the stage crying. Her mother's crying, her father's crying. Guy gets up. He said, have you lifted before? A little bit. And he walks up, bing. He could have gone ding, 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 ding. I think it was 112 pounds, right? It's crazy. Or the beautiful boxer, they have boxing now. And that they have a young gentleman who transitioned. He was a very good boxer, but he wanted to be a woman, which is, you know, to each his own. Because I want to be very liberal when it comes to these subjects. I'm trying to get that vote. It's not an easy vote to get. It's very tough for me to get it. But he transitioned, and he transitioned. And the girl was a champion boxer from Italy, remember? She got up, first round. He hit her, boom, with a left. A left, for those, everybody here knows about, but a left, Lisa knows better than anybody. But a left is defense. He goes, boom. She's like, oh my. She walked to the corner, remember? She didn't go down, but she did everything else. But she said, I've never been hit like that before. I don't want to go out again. You can do it. You can do it. Bang. She walked off. She said, he happened to win the gold medal, that young woman. He won the gold medal. There were two transition people. They both won gold medals. The whole thing is ridiculous. You have policy on your side. They don't have policy on your side. Right? You have policy. And I saw this guy fighting like hell. The swimming records is ridiculous when you look at the swimming, any records. It's crazy. And it's so demeaning to women. Women are the, you know, and for a long time, they refused to talk about it. They were embarrassed to talk about it. Now they do talk about it. They talk about it openly, but they have the worst policy on everything, open borders. We want open borders. You know, they still want an open border. We did the greatest job ever on borders. And, you know, I think they forgot it. My guy said to me today, I have a great guy, Ross. He's the greatest speechwriter. He said, sir, let's not mention the border. Nobody cares about the border anymore. Can you believe it? This was the biggest, this was the biggest thing there was. It says to me, nobody cares about the border because it has a shelf life. I fixed the border. I fixed it in my first term, but now I really had to fix it. It was much worse, you know, when I came into office. Millions and millions of people were pouring into our country. And I fixed it. And my guy, who's incredible, says, people don't want to hear it, sir. You've done that. The problem is people forget that I did it. They totally forget. They were talking about the other day, we don't like Donald Trump on this. We don't like Donald Trump on that. And somebody just out of the blue said, well, he did an unbelievable job. Who cares about that? They're saying, like, you know, that's been done. What do we do about that, Mike? Everything you do. It's almost like, what have you done lately is the way you have to run your life. In other words, I could have the most unbelievable 4 years, and I guess I'm not allowed to run. I'm not sure. Is there a little something out there that I'm not allowed to run? But let's assume I was allowed to run. I could have, there's going to be a constitutional movement. No, I could have the most unbelievable 4 years. Everything was great. But in the last week, I made a little slip up in something, and you lose the election. It's like So we can't let them forget that we did such a great job on the border. By the way, Venezuela, everyone, they're marching in the streets. They love it, except in New York. I mean, where they find these people? These people, and they're not like, these people are a mess. I know it's not nice to say that. These people are a mess. Where do they find these people? They're the worst looking people I've ever seen. They got hats that are all frayed and all, they look like, they're all paid. They don't even know what they're talking. When the reporters don't interview them because they know that it's, the press is so anti. It's hard to believe the press could be so anti because it's all common sense. It's not, we're conservative, whatever. Doesn't matter. We're all common sense people. It's not even conservative. It's common sense. But the press has no credibility whatsoever. Think of it. I got 97% bad stories on one network, 93% on the other, and I won in a landslide. You know what that means? The press has no credibility. That's all it means. And we got to keep it that way. So I don't talk too much about the swimming, the weightlifting, the boxing. I don't talk about it. You know why? I want to start bringing it up about a week before the election because I don't want them to correct themselves. I don't want them to say, we've decided that we don't want to have men playing in women's sports. That'd be a devastating blow for us. Because that's, they say it's an 80-20. No. It's about a 98-2 issue. We've decided that we will not have open borders where the entire world, from the Congo, prisons from the Congo, these are extraordinarily tough people. These are people that make our motorcycle gangs look like fine young men. Okay? Our motorcycle gangs are wonderful people by comparison. No, they come in from prisons in the Congo. They come in from prisons from all over the world, but in particular Venezuela, Tren de Aragua. Tren de Aragua comes in, and Tren de Aragua, they say it's the worst gang in the world. It makes our gangs look like little sweethearts. It makes our gangs, you want to take them out to dinner, they're so nice. They cut off the fingers of people. One guy makes a phone call in Colorado. The governor stinks in Colorado. He's no control. So Tren de Aragua, they don't want to do anything about it. So ICE has to go in and take them out because the governor doesn't want to do anything. But they make a phone call. They've taken over my building. The landlord's calling. They took over his building. So the governor doesn't want to do anything. But he calls the police, the guy. They come in. Did you call the police? This is Tren de Aragua. We're talking to the man that owns the building. Did you call the police? Yeah. Boom, they cut off his fingers. If you call him again, the next time your hand comes off. Can you believe it? The guy's walking around, his fingers were cut off. And these are the animals that we're throwing the hell out of here. Washington, D.C. is now the safest city in the country. And you people know that better than anybody because you were, think of it. You're in Congress, you're respected people. You're afraid to walk outside. Washington, D.C. Now, we had a terror attack 4 weeks ago, and one person's looking down from heaven, and the other one is actually recuperating and going to make it, I think, but really badly hurt. Really badly hurt. Most positive mother I've ever. No, my son's going to be fine, sir. The mother was telling me that the night of the attack, I went just like I went to you. I spoke to this incredible woman. Sir, everyone's praying for my son. He's going to be fine. The doctors thought she was, just hoping against hope. There was no chance. And 2 weeks ago, he got up and started walking around. It's amazing, actually. So maybe some really bad. It looks like he could be okay. He's going to have pretty bad after effects. But that was a terrorist attack on people that are doing a great job. And it could have been anywhere. But we haven't had a murder. We would have, on average, 2 murders a week in Washington. I don't even like talking about it. Two murders a week in Washington, D.C. We haven't had one in 7 months. People can walk out now. You can walk down with your wife down to the restaurants, which are booming, by the way. If you go back to before I got in, and we did a pretty good job 4 years ago, but there was never this, in my first term. So when we were doing the first term, we were pretty good, but, it wasn't like that big of an issue. It became a big issue because people were being mugged all over the place. We had a couple of people working in the White House that were killed. We had one guy waiting for his wife in a car. They said, "Get out of your car." He said, "Well, I'm waiting for my wife." They blew his head off. The wife is walking up to the car. Animals. And then they get angry when I say, "They're animals." Nancy Pelosi, "They're not animals. They're human beings." No, they're not. This is another thing. That's a 98-2 issue also. No, they're animals. And we've taken them out. We've took out over 2,000 people, brought them back to their countries from where they came, or they're in prison now in Washington. Because it's not just like you have to take the bad ones out. 2%, 3% of the population causes 90% of the crime. Think of it. 2% of the population in Washington, D.C. causes 90% of the crime. So when you get rid of the 2%, we took out over 2,000 people, got them out of the country or in prison. Some were so bad that we didn't want to send them back to their countries because they'll come back in, even though it's hard now, but they're pretty smart. They're sick, but they're smart. But you're now living in one of the safest cities in the country. It's a great thing. You can walk to the restaurants. Restaurants are booming. New restaurants are open. They were all closing. You wouldn't have had a restaurant. And I don't know about you, but to me, those soldiers standing there look so good. I'm not going to feel safe walking down the street without them. I don't think you would either. Even though, we took out so many criminals, I just feel better. To me, they're beautiful. I look at these soldiers and you feel safe. You feel safe. I don't think if we took them out, even if the crime wasn't much, it would definitely be more. We did a great job in Chicago. They don't want to talk about it. We, against all this slob of a governor, this stupid slob, who's the family threw him out of the business. He was a dope, and the Pritzker family, but they threw him out of the business. And the mayor, he's a low IQ person, extremely low IQ. We should give everybody like these competency tests, right? The cognitive, they call it cognitive. I'm the only president that went for cognitive. I think every president and vice president should be forced to take cognitive exams, mental tests, like, are they intelligent? Wouldn't it be nice? Do you think Walz could pass a cognitive test as an example? Do you think Kamala could? I don't think Gavin could. He's got a good line of crap, but other than that, he couldn't pass. I mean, here's a guy didn't want to have water coming down from the Pacific Northwest. Why? They have a little tiny fish, this big, it's a little tiny fish, not doing well. You know why? No water. They're sending water. It's too much. It's killing the fish. So they cut it off. And then they have 25,000 houses burned down. They don't know why. No, I think, I believe in it. I'm the only one that took a cognitive test. I do, it's the worst. If I don't do a medical exam, because I've had times where I went longer, because I'm busy. If I don't do a medical exam, they say, Trump's not doing an exam. There must be something wrong with him. If I do the exam, they say, why did he do this? Why did he do this part of an exam? He did too much. There's something wrong with him. Do you remember there was a period, Mike, where I had 32 days in a row. I did one press conference, 2, 3, sometimes 4. I do them behind the desk. I don't even just do it. I do press conferences, but I do many press conferences. So in 32 days, and then one day, just one day. This is 32 days in a row. Must be some kind of a crazy record. Then one day, do you remember I didn't do one? Because I took Kai, my very brilliant golfer, beautiful young lady who swings the club so beautifully. She's a great scratch golfer and loves playing. Grandpa, would you take me to play golf? So I ran, I play golf in like record. I play speed golf. It's better that way. You know the expression? Miss it quick. No, I play speed golf, but I'm a good golfer. Everybody knows. Anybody that I've beaten in this group. But I love to play golf, but I don't get to play much. But I took off 2 hours, and the press couldn't find me. But they knew I was there because they follow me. And I was getting, are you okay? Guys are calling me up. Some of the guys in this room. Sir, are you okay? Yeah, what's the problem? There's a report, sir, that you're no longer with us. Remember that? No. The report was that I don't want to use the D word. It's such a horrible word. Dead. I don't like. There's a report, sir, that you're no longer with us. I said, well, I just hit a 280-yard drive. This isn't bad. And, it's one of and it took me a couple of weeks to get that one straightened out. The new one is they did a report in the fake news New York Times where I worked this day from early in the morning till late in the evening, but we don't give out a full schedule. It's like who the hell wants to give out a schedule to these people? But it's all work. And this, in particular, this day was brutal. I never got to leave the seat. You couldn't do anything. It was just one after another after another. And this went on from early in the morning till late in the evening. And my people gave out a report. He had lunch. They show a report, lunch with somebody. And they did a story. Donald Trump is slowing down. He only had lunch. And then he went back up. And they said, oh, that's malfeasance, whoever did, right? No, it's terrible. I was actually more angry with my people than I was with the New York Times. But they wrote a story. And it takes you a period of time to recover from these hits. And it's almost no matter what you do, but you have to keep a positive eye. But we have a fake press. We did a thing that's so incredible on medicine that nobody has ever done it. Reducing favored nations, most favored nations, we reduced the cost of medicine at levels that have never even been dreamt of before. We should win the elections on just that thing if we did nothing else and went home, go home. We did favored nations where we're bringing down the price of a pill. As an example, in London, the pill sells for $10. In New York, it sells for $130. That's 13 times as much. Most favored is I want to pay what the lowest nation in the world is paying. Everybody knew about it, but nobody had the guts or the stamina to do it or the respect from other nations, but I do. And then you also had to get the drug companies. The drug companies were not easy, but they were much easier compared to the other nations. So the other nations used to tell the drug companies, we're not going to pay more. It kept it for years, the same price. Everything, we just kept going up, up, up. And finally, I had the drug companies and I said, listen, fellas, you can't do this. Can't do it anymore. I'm not going to let it. We're going to do it. And you're not going to do it. And I did things to them that were brutal, but I really found out it was the nations that were so tough. So when France was told that the pill will go from $10 to $30, it's a big increase, right? But it's not really. And that ours would come down from $12 or $13 down to $30. So theirs would go from 10 to 20 or 30. And ours would go from $13 down to, meaning $130 down to 20 or 30. So it's a huge drop for us. Now, depending on the way you calculate it, it could be thousands of percent down. It could also be 90% and 80%. There's two ways of calculating. I don't know if you know. They said Donald Trump exaggerated. Now, there are two ways of calculating it. But calculate it at 80, 90%. But the other way is more accurate, like 900%, because that's what it really is. But there are two ways, but use to be generous, 90%. There hasn't been a reduction in 28 years, except for the 1 year where I got it down 1/4%, and I had a news conference. I was so proud of myself. The drug prices, prescription drugs, are going to be down by thousands of points, thousands. On that one item, you should win this election. The New York Times barely wrote about it. The other papers barely wrote about it. Nobody even knows that the drug prices. Now, people will say, you don't mind if I don't read this crazy teleprompter, do you? Because, do you mind? Because I have, it's called standard. But these things are so important because you guys got to get elected. Because if you don't get elected, we have a country that's going to go to hell. So we can't play games. Ladies and gentlemen, the sun will rise tomorrow, and when it rises, we don't need this bullshit. We need to talk about favored nations. And your numbers are coming down at levels that nobody's ever seen. We inherited high prices. We inherited a mess. We inherited the greatest inflation in history. And you know what was knocking it down? The bad economy that we inherited. We inherited bad. We now have the hottest economy in the history of our country. We have $18 trillion being invested in the United States. You have, every one of you have car plants, AI plants, plants of all different types. Because of tariffs. I hope we get the good ruling from the Supreme Court. I only hope we do, because it's given us tremendous national security. So let me just finish up, because I weave. I love to weave. If you ever weave and don't come back to the point, then that's a problem. Then you say, but when you weave and you go here and boom, 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 always coming back, then you're in good shape. But what's happening is, by doing what I did, we're getting numbers that are so low. But what did I do to the countries? I said, France, your healthcare for prescription drugs is going to go up triple. It's going from $10 a pill, just as an example. I called it the fat drug. You could say the fat drug, Ozempic. Ozempic is $80 in London, and it's $1,300 in New York. The fat drug. A friend of mine called me up. He said, what the hell is going on? A very rich guy, but I said, the fat drug doesn't work on you. Why are you even taking it? The drug has failed miserably, but he's a very loud, boisterous. He's not a bad guy, not a great guy, smart as hell. But he's a very rich guy. This drug, he could have paid millions for it. It wouldn't have mattered. But he said, in London, I'm paying $80. In New York, I'm paying like many times more than that. What the hell is that's because of what's happened? Because the nations held us back. So the drug companies, I had made a deal with them. You're going to do it? They said, whatever the nations agreed to. The nations were a bigger problem than the drug companies. So I said, you tell me they'll never agree, sir. I said, 100% they will. 100%. They said, sir, the smartest guy, Eli Lilly, Merck, Pfizer, all genius. They're all making numbers you wouldn't believe. The defense contractors are making more. That's why I'm going to say, you're making $45 million a year and you can't produce a freaking helicopter for 7 years. We're going to talk to them about that. But I said to the France, I call up, as an example, France, just as an example, I like him, he's a nice guy. Emmanuel, you know Emmanuel Macron. I love the French accent. Emmanuel. They said, listen, you're going to have to raise your prices a little bit because we're paying 14 times more than you. That's a lot, right? We're paying numbers. In other words, we're making up for all of this deficit. No, Donald, I will not be able to. Mr. President, please excuse me. Most of the people call me Mr. President, except for people that don't respect me, they call me Donald, which are probably a lot of them too. But they said, no. Putin calls me Mr. President. She calls me Mr. President. Emmanuel goes, no. We will not do that. Yes, you will, Emmanuel, 100%, because I was told they wouldn't do it. And this is, you can take Emmanuel and add up Hans, you can add up Ludwig, you can add every name in the book. It's all the same. The answer is no. We're not going to double our drug prices. Not for you or anybody else. I said, yes, you are, 100%. We are not going to do it. No, you don't understand. 100%. You're going to do it and you're going to like it. They go, I don't understand. I've told you 5 times, why do you keep saying you're going to do it? Because I'm always right about, Trump is right about everything, right? I said, the hat. Trump is right about it. I have been right about everything. Got to keep it going. Is there wood up here? Hold it. I always like to, just in case. Trump was right about everything. And I said, so you're going to do it, Emmanuel? No, I'm not. I said, okay, here's the story, Emmanuel. If on Monday you haven't agreed to every single thing that we want, I'm putting a 25% tariff on everything coming out of France, including your wines, your champagnes, and everything else. No, 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 you cannot do that. I said, I can do that, and I will do that. Even for national security, I'll do that, but this is for medical security. And 100%. Now, let me explain. The tariff I'm imposing on you is 42 times more expensive than what I'm asking for you in return. So you can either have a 25% tariff added on to you, like I did with China on fentanyl. I put a 20% penalty tax on China, and it's drying up because the tax is far more than they make with fentanyl. But with the other nations, I said, you're going to do it. And you know what he said? You can't do that to me. I said, yes, I can. Don't worry about it. It's not going to be that bad. You just have to explain it to your people, your 39 million people, that, by the way, don't vote by mail. They vote on paper ballots. They tried voting by mail, and there was fraud all over the country. We're the only country that votes by mail, essentially. You know that, right? You know, Speaker, that's another thing. We're the only country that's stupid enough to vote by mail. Even Jimmy Carter's commission said, don't do it. But just to finish so that you won't say he wanders. Emmanuel said to me, Donald, you have a deal. I would love to increase my prescription drug prices by 200% or whatever. I would love to do it. It'd be such an honor. Whatever you want, Donald, please. Don't tell the population. Please, Donald, I beg you. Every country said the same thing. No, 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 we will not do this. Some were strong, some were very nice, some were rude. But they all said one thing, no, we won't. And within, I'd say on average, 3.2 minutes, they were all saying, we would be honored to quadruple our drug prices. So we would be honored to quadruple our prices if that's what you like. We want to make you happy. Okay. Therefore, I will not charge you a tariff, and you're going to increase your drug prices by 3 times what they were paying 2 days ago, right? And we have now favored nation. You think Biden could do that? I don't think so. Think Biden ever thought of it? Now, everybody's wanted favored nations, but everybody knew it was impossible to get the countries to agree to it because they wouldn't have done. And they've been doing this for 40 years or whatever it is. We were subsidizing the entire world. That's just one of the many things we're giving. But you should take that thing. That's going to save. Now, that also, when you add that to healthcare, your drug prices are much lower than what you projected. So we're going to reduce healthcare by a lot. One other thing on healthcare, it's never been our issue. It should be our issue. We had a very nasty vote from a couple of people. I guess Collins, I guess Lisa Murkowski, and I guess a man named John McCain. Remember? Thumbs down. You remember. He said, I'm all for 10 years he campaigned. I don't want to be nasty, but for 10 years he campaigned on Obamacare. We're going to destroy Obamacare. We're not going to do it. And then we're going to terminate it. And then it was a little surprising. We could have had health care, good health care. Obamacare is bad. And the people understand it's bad. And the premiums are horrible. But one thing I've learned a lot about healthcare. I found healthcare sort of like not of tremendous interest, but it was very important. And I made it of tremendous interest. So I made a statement a couple of months ago because I saw the numbers. I said, boy, because, I like to see what's going on. That's one of the reasons. By the way, we set an all-time record again today. We have the highest stock market in the history of our country by far, every single month. That's another thing you should camp. They like to demean that. The Democrats, well, that doesn't mean anything. That's just, no. That means jobs, and it means 401ks, because a lot of people have 401ks. And they have, best lawyer in the room, the best, have 401ks, and they have 401ks. Like, I had a young policeman. I told this story twice, but it was the same thing. This was a recent case. I had a case years ago because I had a great economy. You know, we had the greatest economy in history during my first term. My first term was a tremendous success. But again, nobody wants to talk about that. We rebuilt our military. We did things that nobody could have done. We did a great job. This term is blowing it away. It's blowing every term. There's never been a president that had a year like this, especially a starting year. And we should win based on that too, all things. But the 401k, so there's a policeman and he comes up and he was guarding me along with lots of other people. Sir, I want to thank you. What? My wife thinks I am the worst investor in the world. And for the last year, she thinks now I'm Warren Buffett. She said, you're smarter than Warren Buffett. You're a better investor than Mr. Warren Buffett, sir. I said, how's your 401k? It's doubled. It's going up. It's going up. I said, just relax. But 401ks are through the roof. Those are us. Those are the people. We have the highest stock market in history. 47 days out of 11 months. We have just a piece of the last month left for the first year. 47 days out of 11 months, we hit a new record. Well, we hit one last night. We hit another one today, I understand. But we hit one last night, a new record, brand new record. All exchanges, not just, Dow. Dow was up, but all of them. We have another record, that's the 47th time in 11 months that we've hit an all-time high. And the future, because we have more money coming into our country than any country has ever had by far. The record was about $3 trillion many years ago by China. We've got $18 trillion pouring into our country. You know why? Because of tariffs. Because if they build a factory, they don't have to pay any tariff. But if they make it in another country and they send it in, they have a very big tariff to pay. So they can't pay that tariff. So what they do is they come in and they're building. By the way, this is what China did to us for many years. It's just reversing it. Other than we have a great product. We were losing our product now. Tell you what, if I had lost this election, if you had Kamala, it's the same thing, Joe and Kamala, I call them equals. If you had Kamala come in, I believe that our country would have been Venezuela on steroids. I used to say that during the campaign. If I don't win, we're going to have Venezuela. So we have 18 trillion coming in. I think we could hit 20 trillion by the time the year is up, right? It's less than 1 year, 18 trillion. The record is $3 trillion. $3 trillion is a lot of money. 18 trillion is not even thinkable. That's all investment. That's building factories. That's building plants. You know how many car factories we have? Half of you guys are having car factories where you are. Louisiana is doing great. Georgia, right next to you, is doing great. Hello. Nice guy. All nice people. Actually, in this room, I can't see it. Is there anybody I'm supposed to dislike in this room? I think that a couple of people maybe didn't show up. There's only one that I really dislike. I mean, the same person that Mike gave up on, because there's something wrong with him. He's a sick person. But there's only one, really. The others, you just have to understand them. They have some problems too, but you just have to sort of go with them and understand them, feel sorry for them. Advise their family, are they okay? Because what we're doing is right. But $18 trillion, car plants being built. I was in Japan. Somebody admonished me, he shouldn't be traveling. I don't like to travel. But when I travel, I make a lot of money for the country, not for me. For me, I don't care. I have a much higher purpose. I have plenty of money. I don't need money. I don't want money. I want to make money for the country. And like I did with Intel. Intel came in, they had a problem. I said, I can solve the problem, but I think you should give the United States 10% of your company. He goes, whoa. I said, yeah, I think I can help you with the problem, but you got to give the United States, not me. Sometimes I'll say, give me. But when I say me, I'm talking about, I'd love to accept it, but I don't think that law enforcement would like that, right? I'm very cognizant of law enforcement, perhaps more than anybody in history. Actually, a friend of mine who's really smart said, you know, you've got to be the most honest guy in history because you have been examined, your books, your records. I have a big business. Every record, I had these Democrats hired the biggest accounting firms, the biggest law firms, the biggest. I went through years of abuse. And here I am. They didn't find anything wrong. Remember? We want his tax returns for years. We want his. Finally, the Supreme Court, shockingly, I'm the only one. This couldn't happen to anybody else. You have to give your tax returns, right? I gave my tax returns. They're from here to here. It's a big business. It's a great business. And I built a great business, like much bigger and better than anyone even understands. But I gave my tax returns. They go from here to the ceiling practically. They got them. Headline, Trump to give tax returns. Supreme Court ruled I had to give my tax return. Can you believe it? Everyone said, you're not supposed to do that. And by fighting, they think you're trying to hide something. You know, naturally. I gave my tax returns. That's the last we ever heard. They hired the biggest accounting firm in the world, most powerful lawyers in the world. They spent millions and millions of dollars going over those returns. There hasn't been one story that I did anything wrong. So this friend of mine who's highly sophisticated, rich guy, smart guy, said there's nobody that I know that could have gone through an examination like that and not ended up in prison. Nobody ever had to suffer like I did. Nobody ever did that to anybody else. You know, there was an expression, Andrew Jackson was the most abused president in the history of the United States. You know who second was? This before me. You know who second was? Abraham Lincoln. But he had a civil war, so we have to give him a pass. But Andrew Jackson was treated horribly. He was a great general and a good president. So bad that his wife died. I mean, his wife died. They were horrible. But I just saw a report came out the other day. I blow them away. He never got impeached twice. I got impeached twice or nothing. On a perfect phone call, remember? Perfect phone call. Tim Scott, who's a great guy, great, wonderful guy, South Carolina, straight guy, right? He is a good guy, good person. He's an honest person. He read a transcript. Thank goodness I had a transcript. Essentially, the call was taped because they tape calls. I didn't even know. So was that call taped? Yes, sir. I said, oh, well, bring it down. I don't even know. And we read the transcript. It was perfect. It was so good. I told Ukraine not to cheat. And if you see any cheating, report it to the Attorney General of the United States. That was my call. They said he was trying to intimidate. All I said is don't cheat. And we have a signed agreement that Ukraine can't cheat. You know that. It's the only country we have actually a signed. They violated the agreement many times. I would tell you'll find out. I was right about that too. But nobody's gotten treated. But this guy said to me, for you to have escaped. But the one thing, and I'll just end it, because Jim Jordan back there, world champion wrestler, 128-1. Whatever happened to the one guy? The Russian. He lost. How dare you lose to a Russian? Do you know the more impressive record for Jim? Because I'm a big sports person. I love sports. Jim went to high school. As in high school, he was considered like the top wrestler. But he was undefeated in high school. Now, what that means is that as a freshman, he was beating seniors. Is that true? Were you actually undefeated? Seriously, were you undefeated in high school? That means as a freshman, he had to beat seniors, Steve. Nobody could, because there's such a difference between a freshman and a senior. To me, that's more impressive than anything. But I'm also impressed with his fight. Now we have to close the deal, Jim. We got to close the deal. Close that deal. So, I respect. I saw Jim, and first time I met Jim, I looked at him and I said, tough looking guy. But I noticed the ears, they were a little rough. They were a little bit of a rough. Some people would say a little cauliflower on that ear. They said, Jim, have you wrestled before? Yes, I did. Where? Was it Ohio State? Something like, he was an All-American at Ohio State. I said, yeah, I could sort of tell. I look at the ears and I can sort of tell. But have you had plastic surgery on your ears, Jim? No? Because they look better now than they did the first time. They've healed over the years. They've healed. Actually, now you're wrestling with probably much tougher people, the radical left lunatics, right? But anyway, so I just want to leave it by this. I want to say that you are great people. We have all of the policy. We have wonderful, just stay together. We got a few people that make life very difficult. They don't have that. I used to say they don't have a Mitt Romney in their midst. I mean, Mitt Romney was very difficult. You know, he was almost like for them. He was on the Senate side. But we have a couple of people that are really bad. I mean, they're bad, but maybe they'll straighten out. Maybe somebody in the room can sit them down and straighten them out, because what we're doing is the right thing for the country. We're not Republican or Democrat. We're doing the right thing for the country. If you look at what we're trying to solve the healthcare problem. We're trying to get better healthcare at a lower price. I mean, that's a good thing, right? And the one thing I learned, and just in concluding, and I said it like a month and a half ago, and it was the number one thing in the country. Even the fake news covered it. They tried to put a negative spin on it, of course. I said, I read a story about insurance companies making a fortune. A fortune. Their stocks were up 1,700%. Who invested recently in a stock that's up 17? And that's because the money that they're getting from Obamacare is massive. And the government generally. That means they're making a fortune. And as soon as that, because I have a natural, I don't want to say it again, but I have a natural business instinct. I do. I've always done things. I've done some things that people said you're crazy and I made a lot of money with. I've done a lot of things that were good. I have an instinct, right? Somebody said, he's got the best political instincts of any politician in 150 years. I said, no, I don't. I really don't believe I do. I think I have good instincts. I have common sense. But they said that it was a very complimentary statement, but I don't believe that's necessarily right. But I do have good policy. I have good common sense. And maybe they wheeled that into instincts. And I did become president. So can't be that bad. And I never did it before. Don't forget, I ran for president. I had a politician telling me very strongly, they said, sir, I've run for office 20 times and I've won 17. And I know what I'm talking about. This was at the very beginning of my first time. I said, well, I've only run once and I won, but I won for president. He said, you got me on that one. He's actually sitting in this room right now, that son of a gun. He knows who I'm talking about. He was giving me a hard time, but he's turned out to be a decent person. Not the best in the room, but a decent person. He's not my favorite in the room, but he's decent. But we have one thing that's really strong. Uh-oh, it's a fake news. Pulitzer Prize, right, Doug? Pulitzer Prize. He got one for the bullet. He had the bullet, but he got how many Pulitzer Prizes? 3 Pulitzer Prizes, and all talented guys. These are great guys. I don't like the people back there as well. These are the ones that take the pictures. Make me look thin for a change, Doug. You're making me look a little bit heavy. I'm not happy about it. But one thing I did see and find out in the last 2 months, when you tell the people that we want the money to be paid to the people so the people can buy their own health insurance and health care, it's like, and I just said it. And I said it because I read a story on the front page of a certain paper that I don't even mention because it's so stupid paper, it's so bad. It's gone so far off the Wall Street Journal. I don't mention it. I refuse to tell you that it's the Wall Street Journal. They've lost their way. This is not the Wall Street Journal of old. But I read a story on the Wall Street Journal, and it said that the insurance companies are making so much money. They weren't demeaning them or anything. And I guess as an investor, you're happy. When I read that, I said, wait a minute, they're making that kind of money. And they're making it because of stupid politicians, I hate to say, that we allow them to make it. If you guys can get in a room, because, we don't have that as one of our issues. It's the only thing they have. They're lousy at it. They came up with Obamacare. We tried to fight it. We almost had it won, but we didn't get 3 votes. We should have gotten them. But here's, you want to turn this thing, you work on favored nations, you work on borders, you work on all of the things that we talked about. But now you take the healthcare issue away from them and they want to fight it. You know why? They're all owned by the insurance companies and they cannot fight it successfully. There's nothing they can do. That's like almost the voter ID thing. When they try and fight, I watched a guy trying to explain why we shouldn't have voter ID the other day, and the guy was a fool. He looked like an idiot. This is the same kind of an issue. Let the money go in the healthcare account or however you do it. Let the money go directly to the people. Now, you have to be a little flexible on Hyde. You know that. You got to be a little flexible. You got to work something. You got to use ingenuity. You got to work. We're all big fans of everything, but you got to be flexible. You have to have flexibility. I came out with a statement. Let the money go not to the big fat cats in the insurance companies that made 1,700% over the last short period of time. Let the money go directly to the people where they can buy their own health care. And I'm not sure that I've ever said anything that was more impactful. I say a lot of things and have a lot of good ideas. And this was an idea that, the whole world went crazy. The whole country went crazy. The world went crazy with envy. If you can somehow do that, Mr. Speaker, Tom, all of you, Steve, if you can do that, this is going to be your issue. And the other thing is fertilization. They're trying to hit us on fertilization. They were dead on fertilization when I got a call from a very wonderful young senator from Alabama saying they had just lost a case. And the case, I've never been met with such scorn. Friends of hers were just going crazy. And I said, explain the issue to me. And it was on IVF, the fertilization. A judge ruled against and said all fertilization places have to be closed down like immediately. It would have been a disaster. And fortunately, I picked it up and we owned the issue. But now I understand they're trying to make a case on fertilization. You can't let them do that. Very important issue. All of these issues are very important issues. But you can own healthcare. Figure it out. Let the money go directly to the people. It goes in a healthcare account. There are numerous things you can do, but you have to let no money for the insurance companies. I'm going to meet with the insurance companies. I said, I'm going to meet with them because I met with the prescription drug companies. And that's when I found out what was going on with the fact that we were paying 10 and 13 and 14 times more money than Europe and other places. I learned that at the meeting. Now I'm going to meet with them in a few days. I'm meeting with them all, 14 companies. I'm meeting with them all. I'm also meeting with oil companies. Let's go. You know what that's about. We've got a lot of oil to drill, which is going to bring down oil prices even further. But if you can come up with health care, remember this, where the money goes to the people, you have just owned, they can't fight it. They're owned by the insurance companies. You guys don't get money from the insurance companies. They do. They get a massive amount of money. It's their biggest donor. They're going to try and fight you, but they can't win the fight. If you explain it, the money goes directly to the people. That's going to be your issue. The other thing is energy. Your energy prices have come so far down since I'm president. And nobody wants to, I saw on television, energy prices are down 3%. No, they're not down 3%. They were $3.50 and $4. It's now $1.99 a gallon in many stations, and it's going down further. And that's like a massive tax cut. And that's the other thing, tax cuts. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. Now think of this, no tax on tips, no tax for seniors on Social Security, no tax on overtime. You're allowed to deduct if you buy a car and you take out a loan on the car. For the first time ever, middle income people, all people can deduct, but they never got a deduction before like this. It's only for rich people, they got them. They have so many deductions. You're allowed to deduct the interest against your taxes. Nobody thought it was possible. It's going to be phenomenal for the car companies, but it's even more phenomenal for the people. It's like getting it's like paying half for the car. All of these things, you have so much ammunition. All you have to do is sell it. Taxes. But the one thing they know about the taxes, I call it the great big beautiful bill. I think it's even better. But the great big beautiful bill is just that. There are so many goodies in the bill, you have to get the word out because the people in the back of the room won't do it. That's why I love live television. Because they can't, well, sometimes they'll turn the camera off, but they're embarrassed when they do that. If we're going too strong and doing too well, if the lights go off, you're doing well. If the lights are on, you got yourself a problem, okay? I see that little red light. That light goes on. If that light, that's bad, isn't it? If that light goes off, you know that you're doing a good job because you're fighting the Democrats and you're fighting the fake news. And it's amazing that they can be so stupid and they don't have credibility anymore and you can beat them. I mean, it's the old thing that, never fight the news, but you have no choice because it's almost like they become radicalized. But you are fighting the news, but you can beat them. That's why I'm standing here. I mean, I had Kamala. I was beating Joe by 30 points. And then they changed him. That's like a fighter in the ring. He's losing. And they said, let's put somebody else in to take his place. Very unfair. They changed in the middle of the election. They said, he's going to lose, so let's give somebody else. And fortunately, she was just as bad as him. Probably slightly. I don't know. Would you say as bad or worse? Close. Pretty close. But it took 6 weeks. It was a honeymoon period. 6 weeks. It took 6 weeks to find out that she didn't have what it takes. But you got to win the midterms, because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached. We don't impeach them. You know why? Because they're meaner than we are. We should have impeached Joe Biden for 100 different things. They are mean and smart. But fortunately for you, they have horrible policy. They can be smart as can be, but when they want open borders, when they want, as I said, men and women sports, when they want transgender for everyone, bring your kids in, we're going to change the sex of your child. Just send them our way. In some cases, like in Minnesota, they don't even tell the parents. Is that right? And nobody believes it when I say it. I think we have 6 states. Nobody, am I correct? Okay, Tom Emmer said yes, so. But it's true. Where the kid comes back, they keep the kid. They operate on the kid. They don't tell the parents. It's not believable. We have great, solid common sense policy. They have horrendous policy. What they do is they stick together. They never have a no vote. They impeached me. I never knew I was going to be impeached. I get a phone call. You just got impeached. I said, what does that mean? It took them 10 minutes. They impeached the president who did a damn good job. I rebuilt our military, Space Force. I got everything. I did a lot. They impeached me for nothing, twice, for nothing. Fortunately, you were on our side and we were unanimous. And the second time, the few people in this little group, like Rice and this, they're all gone. Every one of them is gone, except one that we're going to sort of let ride with. Some guy that has a state that you might as well just let him ride. But think of it, everyone's gone. Everyone's gone. It makes me feel so good. I don't want to feel vicious, but I'm so happy that everyone. And they're seriously gone too. They lost in landslides. This guy named Rice, he lost by 48 points, right? Remember him? Oh, no, there he is. What a job you did, Mr. Fry, Congressman Fry. I looked around for somebody. It's true. This was a good choice. We've made some bad choices too, because you have to do it. I said, who the hell can run against this guy Rice? It was a Trump plus 40 district. They had riots around his house that night. You know, he voted, I vote to impeach. And that night they had riots. So they said, who the hell? Just give me somebody, a warm body. And then, no, it has to be a living, breathing person. And then if I could get a genius, it would be good. And we got a guy who is so good. He's been, I think, are you happy with him? I think so. Stand up, bro. He's great. I said, where does he come from? He's like a senator, state senator or something. I said, all right. I spoke to him one time. I said, you're accepted. But little did I realize how good he was. You did a great job. You've done a great job, and the people love him. So he has done a great job. I just want to say this. I haven't read one word on this thing. Who the hell else could do this? And I think I gave you something. It's just a roadmap, and it's a roadmap to victory. You have so many good nuggets. You have to use them. If you can sell them, we're going to win, because we've won 2 races in like 50 years. It's for whatever reason. I don't know why, but just don't fight it. It doesn't make sense. They've been 2, and they were unusual circumstances. So whether it's a Republican or Democrat, whoever wins the presidency, the other party wins the midterm. And it doesn't make sense, because we've had the most successful year probably in the history. They say, and now you add what happened essentially yesterday, we've had the most successful first year of any president in history. And it should be a positive, and make it a positive. So with that, I leave you. I do. And I started by saying I love you all, and I'll end by saying I love you. You're amazing people. What you do for this country is incredible. And thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey guys, can y'all hear me? All right, let me get to a few of your comments. So I like for you all to hear from the source itself. Okay, thank you guys for conversing and hanging out in the chat. Let me see what some of your comments are. Hold on, I think I'm behind. All right, what do you guys say? What am I sniffing? What are you talking about, fool? Facts. Trump was still okay. I don't know what y'all talking about, you guys. So there's a lot that's going on. Now, Donald Trump did say something that was really interesting to me, and that was, if we don't win the midterms, Republicans, then he's going to get impeached. Now, I don't know about that, so I need to do a little bit of my homework. I do know that the midterms are really important, so I obviously, I'm nervous about the midterms because of the lies that's been said about the Trump administration, the fear that has been put into people about the Republican Party, and some people might be blinded because if you start speaking about the truth and you don't go along with the crowd, then all of a sudden you're this horrible person, and that's just insane. So I am a little worried about the midterm elections, you guys. You guys think so much about Nuri subbed and thumbs up. Thank you, Yashra, for subbing. I appreciate you guys. Claude, thank you for holding it down. Thank you, Dr. Manhattan. I appreciate you guys. Anyways, you guys, everything that's happening with the president, the Venezuelan president, I'll be watching that for you guys. God, there's just a lot that's going on. It's just human rights. Tyler, what's human rights? Dr. Manhattan, it was a rough day today, wasn't it? Trump has his own agenda. Let's see what you say. Trump has his own agenda. He will win because he now has the Venezuelans from the USA. But for those of you that say Donald Trump is dumb, you can't really say what you think is dumb about Donald Trump. Misunderstood. Are you down with the MAGA Charles Mason cult or just this content? Kevin, what exactly do you mean by that question? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Where did it come from? They will lose midterms and he will be impeached. But impeached, why? No, not Crockett for president. Impeached, why? What did Donald Trump do to be impeached? Okay. I have said that was Tyler. Okay, you've been talking a lot. Let me get to your comment. What did you say? I said what's dumb about Trump the whole time I've been here, Tyler. I was busy minding the chat, and I have been looking at your comments, but I had a lot going on. But I gave him some credit, Tyler. I believe that you're at least, whether we agree or not, I do think that you are fair and your comments were thought out. I do not necessarily disagree with you. Impeached for breaking the Epstein Transparency Act. Are we just making up our own stuff now? Trump isn't fixing what twice impeached. He wasn't the only president that was impeached, you guys. Zip myself up and have some respect for myself. Okay. Impeached for corruptly operating. Tyler. Are you MAGA or is this just for content and views? I haven't really spoken about my political affiliation, but am I MAGA? No, I do not identify as MAGA. Is this just for content or views? Is the news? It's the news. I would have voted for Trump in 2016, and you would have, but why didn't you? Why didn't you? She is doing it for clout and money. Interesting. Dr. Manhattan, I'm not even trust crazy. I'm wearing some darn joggers tonight. All right, let me get out my chat. I don't know, you guys. I'm just gonna be praying for this country, that our country is stronger. I am following this court case with Maduro and Tyler Robinson and Luigi Mangione. Those are high-profile cases that I'm interested in. Not really interested in you guys' comments about why I'm doing this kind of commentary. Honestly, it's just commentary. And if it gets some views, it gets some views. I really could care less. What I do care about is what's happening in the country. And I think it's really interesting that the left likes to come in with insults. So because I'm playing the news, that means that I'm doing things for clicks and views. That's very distracting. But that just tells me that you really don't have any words to make your point. This really isn't a right versus left thing. It's a right versus wrong thing. It's what's better for the country. And I find it interesting that some people think that what's better for the country is to let illegal immigrants in undocumented and using our American resources. Now, as far as the Venezuelan president goes, Donald Trump made a very boss and bold move. He did. Biden talked about the Venezuelan president and the problems over there. He did. Donald Trump's first term, if you guys think about it, Donald Trump put money, what is it, $20 million to bring Maduro, right? 20 million. Biden's term was 25 million. Nobody complained. Biden talked about grabbing the Venezuelan president. And then Donald Trump said, 50 million, go get them. And it's legal. It's perfectly legal. The people in Venezuela are happy. They are. And if we happen to get oil, America produces a lot of oil. I'm not looking at y'all comments. America produces a lot of oil. We have resources here. We don't have the reservoir to process it like Venezuela, right? To be completely honest. But if what's happening in Venezuela, Donald Trump, of course, he's going to use whatever resources he needs to build our country, keep our country strong, because we have been damaged by fentanyl, by other drugs coming into this country, by trafficking, and that makes the other countries wealthier. Donald Trump is bringing money into the country. And tariffs is not a bad thing. It makes people buy American. So that way more jobs in America. It's just better all around. So maybe we can get rid of taxes. We didn't always have taxes. Donald Trump is just doing a lot, and he's doing it with a lot of criticism. Now, I'm not here to preach about Donald Trump or tell you guys why you should vote for Donald Trump. I'm not here to do it because you guys are going to tear me up in my comment section anyway after these videos like you normally do. But I would tell you is that I'm not going to go along with the crowd, and I'm not going to say what people want me to say just because they think as a Black American woman, I have to be Democrat. I'm not going to vote for a party that's against my best interest. Am I MAGA? Nope. But I am a conservative thinker. And I do support our president. And that's just how it is. Trump, Alvin, you're for Trump. More jobs for U.S. citizens instead of, okay, so I have some like-minded people. Lionel, more jobs for U.S. citizens instead of giving them to illegal immigrants. Yeah, that's a problem. You can pay them next to nothing, not hire Americans where they're going to send the money to, not all, okay, not all, but no. Force these companies to pay Americans minimum wage. You should not be able to come and say, hey, I'll work for a less amount than American, and an American is out of a job. That's not right, all right? Make them pay minimum wage, whatever the job requires. Hire Americans, pay taxes. That's how this country works. We cannot be a socialist country. If no one works, where's the money going to come from, okay? Right now, America is a capitalist country, I would say, but it seems like it's losing its way. If we're a socialist country, who'd work? And then who would pay taxes? And then who would put into the programs? That's another story for another day. She's in a call. I just said I wasn't MAGA. Trump's a hypocrite. That should be enough. Contracted that. Okay. China has us in a bind. What do you mean by that? China has us in a bind. I have to think about that one, Christina. You voted to be seen, not heard. All right. All politicians are hypocrites. I don't agree with any politician 100%. You agree China has us in a bind, Tyler? Okay. Trump 2028 US. I hear you guys. You know that undocumented pay for taxes, right? I don't buy that, Blade. And a lot of times when people are saying they pay taxes, what taxes are you talking about? Because most people, I know a lot of people get tax returns, and that's definitely not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that actually write a check, pays taxes, pays federal taxes, pays state taxes, and it's hefty for a lot, okay? So I don't think that undocumented workers pay that. Who can't use social services? Non-citizens, they are not in hospitals a lot. What are you talking about? Who can't use social services? I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, Hanson. They don't pay taxes because they don't pay taxes, Lynch, for Blade. No, I'm not buying it. I'm not calling you a liar. I just think that you're misinformed. They're not paying taxes. Sure. Don't discuss taxes with liberals. They don't pay taxes. A lot of people think, I remember one of the first conversations I had about taxes, and somebody got so mad at me. We pay a lot of taxes. I live in California, okay? And we all know we're double taxed out here. We pay a lot. And I'm not even talking about property taxes. I'm talking about state and federal taxes. A lot of people don't pay federal taxes. They don't, whatever. But people are arguing with me saying that because they buy stuff, they pay taxes, and they're talking about the sales tax. And so sometimes it's really hard to have conversations with people. No. No, Trump is the new landman. Go Trump, go big oil. No one's going to talk about how low the gas prices get with more oil. And raise your hand if you got Doge check. America needs to plug in our boot before we sink. Okay, you guys, that's a lot. That's a lot. People who work and file. What? People who work and file get taxes. You get taxed for living. Doug, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That is not what I'm talking about. No, I'm not talking about people that get a tax refund. Venezuela is claiming a state of emergency, and Maduro's son is standing strong against the U.S. He should be standing strong against the U.S. He's wanted. He's being charged for drug crimes. Are you okay? So, of course he's standing strong. I'm wondering when are they going to go get him? To be fair, look at Quad. Come through, Quad. Trump gas prices are lower than they've been in 20 years. That's right. For sales tax, they take that money and pay their corporate tax. Gee, that's fake news. Not his son. Did I misread that? Hold on. And Kayla. Hey, Kayla. I didn't recognize the name. Hey, boo. I'm sorry. I didn't recognize your name. They want his son. Yes. Yep. I'll be waiting. I will be waiting. Hey, Ghost Samurai. Hey, you guys. I will be waiting for that. You cannot commit crimes against America. It's about time. We have to stop the fentanyl from coming into the country. I know that fentanyl comes in higher doses in other places, but that does not make it right. We have had a problem, I told you guys, since 1999 with Venezuela. Our relationship has been going down since Chavez. And so we had to do what we had to do. Donald Trump made a bold move. I can understand why he did not wait for Congress, because anytime there's a threat of us going to war, they're going to move slowly. Donald Trump said enough is enough, and he went over there and did what he had to do. And now we have the Venezuelan president locked up. I will not ever be happy about anybody's downfall. But if you're committing crimes against this country that's causing millions of Americans to be unalive, that is a problem. It's a problem to and then they were charged with firearm offenses. And his wife, nobody kidnapped her. She's not being held hostage. She's just being held under arrest. And she is entitled to a fair trial. You have Klansmen as your mods. I think my mods are pretty lenient. No crime was committed against the USA. So bringing drugs into our country is not a crime. Christina? Do y'all need me to read these charges again? Klansmen, my moderators, I only use 2, and they're pretty much very lenient. Hey, Sammy, they're pretty lenient. There was no war. You people are ignorant. Minor said there was a war. Let me see something here. That was part of U.S. officer effort. Yeah, he's being charged with narco, terrorism, and drug trafficking. So I'm not sure why you guys are fighting so hard for somebody that was against the United States and did what was not in our best interest. Didn't care as long as money was coming into their country and was profiting their country. Now, there's so much more that's going on besides that. Donald Trump has me a little shaken talking about being impeached. I just wish they leave this man alone and let him do his job. Let him do what the American people put him in office for. Trump just pardoned a giant drug trafficker. Did you see the emergency meeting today? No, I don't think that was the video I started out with. I know that there were some protesters. Nothing Trump does is for money. Trump knows what's coming. That's so much. There's a lot, you guys. Who did he pardon? There's a lot that's going on. Now, Tim Walz has done a lot, and I'm glad he's not running for a third bid. Does this mean that he's not going to be able to run for presidency? I hope so. We already have Newsom that's preparing to be a candidate, which would be an absolute disaster for the United States. Now, I'm not here to tell you guys how to vote. And I will not tell you guys how to vote. But if you know what he has done in California, it would be, I think we'll be in trouble if Newsom was in office. So 2028, well, first we got to get through the midterms, right? And then 2028, I'm hoping for JD Vance. And that's what I'm going to say as I continue to pray for our country. They'll condemn Obama and then hate on Trump. They are so clueless. Huh. He needs to be in prison. Yeah, I don't know about the emergency meeting. If that's what I was showing earlier, I don't know about that, honestly. So I'll have to just look at that later and go from there. Have a profile picture. Somebody comment on your looks. You guys are funny. Newsom is fantastic. We love him. You can leave California anytime. Why do I need to leave California? I don't need to go anywhere. Okay. California voted for Donald Trump, so can't wait to see Vance marry Erica. You guys leave Erica Kirk alone. That lady just lost her husband. Why didn't Trump get Congress approval for taking out Maduro? List out who was paid millions in Congress and Congress spies. Joshua, half of that is true, but Donald Trump, look at how many times the Supreme Court and Congress has held up Donald Trump from doing something that needed to be done, even as simple as sending ICE to send illegal immigrants back to their country. He's faced a lot along the way, and he doesn't get a lot of support, and I find that interesting. And I know why, but I'm not going to say it during this live stream. But we see what happens when Donald Trump tries to do something. Donald Trump has been fought along the way. Whereas if it was another president or a Democratic president, for the same things that Donald Trump is doing, they would praise Donald Trump. Just like when Biden was talking about going over and taking care of Maduro, nobody said, oh, Obama, don't do that. But the moment President Trump not only says it, but does it, then people have a problem. So I can understand why he didn't use Congress. And there's a lot of times presidents don't go through Congress, including Obama, including every other Democratic president. They weren't kidnapped. They were arrested for drug charges. They've had how long? Maduro has had an arrest warrant for years, okay? And he walked around like it was nothing, like it was a joke. And when we don't protect our country and our best interests, other countries look at us like we're weak and it's a threat to national security. Fake want to be mob boss. Trump is see-through. I'm not sure what you mean. That's kidnapping. It's not. So when a person goes to jail, it means that they're kidnapped. You guys are buying into a lot. Bush went through Congress when going after Hussein, but I'm not talking about that. Constitutional law. You're awesome. Janet, how are you? It's kind of tough, Janet. I get a lot of, just speaking things like this makes people hate you, makes people want to, it's just, if you don't go along with the crowd and what people want you to say, then they look at you like you're evil. There's a lot of things I could talk about right now, but for the sake of time, I won't. There's a lot of things that should change, and I just won't give my opinion on it tonight. Trump will be impeached. Oh, that hurts my heart that you say that, Cressino, but I'm going to have to let it ride. But it does hurt that you say that. We don't want Donald Trump impeached. That would look so bad for our country. It will make other countries think that we are weak and they could attack our president, Donald Trump. No, he's got to finish his term. There's no reason to impeach Donald Trump. What crime did Donald Trump commit? There's no reason to impeach Donald Trump. Trump will never be impeached. Come through, Sleepy. Lounge talk. How much worse is Harris than Biden? To me, they're kind of one and the same. He's destroying our country. Donald Trump has made our country stronger, Cressino. He's made our country stronger. We had a horrible, nobody wants to talk about the border crisis. Tom Homan did an excellent job, but you could tell that he's tired from the backlash. So Donald Trump is building our country up. And I kind of hate to talk so much about Donald Trump because I don't want to be called a Trumper or anything like that, but we're going to just talk about what Donald Trump is doing. I mean, he's doing so much for our country, and a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people are just afraid of the changes. Even if you take something as simple as making it so you can't just collect food stamps the rest of your life. You got to work like everybody else. That's what happens. You work. You work for what you want. And okay, you can get assistance, but you shouldn't be able to just stay on assistance the rest of your life unless you absolutely, maybe you're disabled or something like that. That's different. But if you're a working American, then you need to get out there and work and build strong families. Just the very basics in life that America has gotten away from. We need family structure in communities. No one's coming to save you. You gotta be able to, you gotta work, you gotta do your part, right? And that's just how it is. And I know that makes a lot of people upset, but telling someone that, hey, having more kids and we're going to give you more money, that's not the way to go. We're not going to give you any more money. You're going to get this amount no matter how many kids you get for this amount of years. And if you can't work, I mean, it's good to start with a volunteer job. We need a strong work ethic, and we're kind of getting away from that. If no one works, nobody pays taxes, and these programs that people like to talk about with housing and let's feed the homeless, let's put them in shelters and stuff like that. Where do you think the money comes from? If nobody works, that's why I said socialism doesn't work. If nobody works, there's no money to pay into these kind of things. Now, terrorists is something else. People are afraid of terrorists. Buy American. You don't have to worry about it. Buy American. But you got to work. And why should we pay for a person that doesn't want to work? Because it takes a toll out on someone who's going to put into Social Security and all these other things. Oh, Casino, you agree with that? Okay. MAGA, Cara D, I can't speak for MAGA because I'm not MAGA. Trump envies the... So when the next president is Democrat, I don't even want to think about the next president being Democrat at all. You are MAGA? Oh, I'm not going to argue what I am. You're 100% MAGA. Well, people are going to think what they're going to think, but I can't call myself MAGA. I'm calling ICE on you. Where am I going to go? Okay, thank you. Something normal. Work and pay your way. I'm MAGA, not ashamed. Yashua, I'm not ashamed of who I am, but I can't identify as MAGA. I don't think it matters, though, what I am. I'm a conservative Republican, but I say that because I was a Republican before Donald Trump got into office. That's all. I think you're brainwashed or rage baiting. I really want to take that comment out of my chat, and I almost want to block you for that. Rage baiting because I'm speaking about let me take care of you. That really annoys me. I'll just move a comment. You're gonna think what you're gonna think. I'm no cult member. I'm MAGA, not Republican. See, and that's fine too, Damage. I don't think that being Republican makes you a cult member. I just think that you're a brown woman. MAGA men definitely want to hear. You're a brown woman. Rage baiting. I'm not gonna have my mods remove your comments. I'm not rage baiting, but I think it's problematic that I can come out here, talk about the borders, and talk about right-wing ideologies, and you guys say that I'm rage baiting. But if I come out here and say, let's open up the borders, let's let anybody in, let's anybody can get food, you know what I'm saying. Let men play in women's sports. Let men be, compete with women. Let's do all that. Then I'm not rage baiting. What about the right being upset? Wouldn't we be upset about stuff like that? That's not what we want. It's not in America's best interest. I'm not rage baiting. I'm just speaking about what's happening in the country. If you guys are upset, I'm not in control of your emotions. You're in control of your emotions, not me. So please don't put your feelings on me. Okay. All right, you guys. Come together. Are we still friends? Are we still friends? Come together. We all have good ideas. What is making America great again? Wrong. Some carry it too far. Where's the link? I'll drop the link. About 20 minutes. What time is it? 2:43. Okay. Trump putting money back into the system. Trump doing everything he can to avoid releasing the unredacted files. I don't think Trump cares about releasing the files, but there's a lot that's going on in the country and it's distracting because a lot of the files were released. Common sense posts. So, your thoughts on Trump? Okay. When was America great? Was it when this lady had no rights or when she cool? Dang. That was rough. Misunderstood. You just regurgitate everything. That's why I like to play clips and I don't really like to give my thoughts on stuff because I rather you guys make your own decisions. Here we go.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm nice and fresh and clean. Ah,
I love your shirt.
oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
My shirt likes you too.
What's on your mind?
What I wanted to talk about was why I feel that this is a bad move for our country and why I believe Trump has made a huge mistake. And it seems to be today, I've watched everything and everybody's echoing everything that I stated was a problem. Every politician is saying it. And I'm like, I must have been right because everyone is echoing the same thing. You have to go through Congress if you're going to drop bombs in someone else's country who has not declared war on the United States. You cannot do that. You have to go through Congress. And they always done that. But the thing is, when you go and try to seize another country, or you're trying to run it or be operational as what they did with Iraq, they did that in Nigeria, they did it in many different stanzas. Where is our history of making it better? It's never happened. We never left those countries better off. Was Iraq better off? No, ISIS came along. Everything they did, they just went, took what they wanted to take, and that was the goal. They said they were liberating the people. Operation Iraqi Freedom. It was a lie. Weapons of mass destruction. Where was the weapons of mass destruction? It was a lie. So they used everything as a lie. It was proven to be a lie, too. It's not me just saying it. It's proven that they lied. There was no weapons of mass destruction, and they've already invaded that country and did all of those things. So now, oh, she let me have the show. Okay.
Wait, where do how to put me back? I needed a break. I was like, I'm listening.
I'm like, all right. So my thing is this, everybody says, yeah, but we getting all the oil, the gas is going down. Yeah, but you're stealing from somebody. And that's why I don't like other countries bullying other countries because they're bigger and they have a weapon of force. Venezuela is a small place. They've never been a threat to the United States in any kind of way, shape, or form. So they know that. Everybody knows what this really is about. And now you want those refineries. I showed everybody because I do, that used to be what I do. I used to broker those oil deals, and I showed you the contracts to back it up because, they said I was capping. Said I had to bring out the actual contacts with these multi-million-dollar companies. And I had to tell them that I deal with different countries, and different countries, you have to, most of them, like this country, don't deal with this country. So they have to have an in-between or a workaround. So you have to have a broker come in and do this. So when you have a broker, in which we did, JP 54 is really like regular gas. You have D2, D6, mazout, and most of this is airline fuel. Like if you're on an Emirates flight, they're going to be using D2, D12, that kind of gas. You know, they're using premium. They're not using the regular gas. So anyway, these barrels have to go through Rotterdam. So Venezuela is one of the biggest distributors. That's how I know who they were distributing to. So Russia, from anything from Russia, they're getting their oil. They're going to get it from Venezuela, but they're going to go through Rotterdam to get it. And so is the Ukraine. So is a lot of places over there. But their biggest supplier and their biggest protector is Iran. Iran is the one that's supposed to have military protection for Venezuela. So they're gonna have to see what's gonna happen now, because they've pretty much said when you declare a state of emergency, whoever is your allies, they have the right to come over and protect the land, because you are calling for arms, you're calling for everybody. So they filed as a state of emergency after the taking of the president of this country. My thing is, Biden was the one they keep saying, well, Biden said that this guy was bad and this and this. That was in 2015. See, America's doing the same thing they did with Noriega. By saying they don't recognize Maduro as the president, that means he's just a head of state, or treating him as a military operative. They can come and just take him because they don't recognize him as president. See, when you come and grab someone and you don't recognize them as that, they can say that. But see, here's the difference. He wasn't a military soldier operating. He actually won an election to be there. Then when the president died, he took over. So he was still the president at the said time. Now, if you go to Noriega was a war general and basically was shipping drugs completely. But you can't be hypocritical and say, oh, well, they're running drugs through tunnels up here from Venezuela. I'm quite sure they are, but the majority of the drugs ain't coming through there from Venezuela. That's ridiculous. You got Mexico. You got drugs coming and pills coming from Canada. You have more drugs coming from China. And you know that. And you haven't even thought about invading them. So what is that? You just pardoned a drug dealer that was serving drugs in the country. So all of this is hypocritical. You went there to get this man because you want to take over you want to get those refineries so you can get this gas down. You want to try to do anything you can for these midterms. All of this is about is midterms. They want to make sure they win midterms because they're scared that they're going to lose it. And if they lose midterms, you know what time it is.
I'm
Trump's
afraid
getting impeached, and this time it's gonna stick. He's not gonna be able to wiggle out of this because he's not gonna have the votes, and they're gonna have the votes if they win midterms. When they won the election, just about 2-3 months ago, when they lost Virginia, they lost like all those states, and they were really upset when the government was shut down. This is gonna be another one of those situations. Because they're hoping that, oh no, the people's happy in Venezuela. They were people cheering when they got Saddam Hussein out of there. Now those people are in misery. Every place America has went talking about they're helping people, they haven't helped anyone. The place has been worse off than they've ever been. This hasn't happened. They have no track record of saying they've done anything great for that country. Now, if they did, then yeah, we can say, okay, well, they went there, they helped liberate this, and they did it great for them people. They're not going to do great for Venezuela. They have no plan. They went today and had a meeting where they had to discuss with Congress what happened. Like, what if you did this without us? What going down? What is your plan for Venezuela? They don't have one. That went down today. The UN had a meeting with all the world leaders about this emergency meeting about what happened in Venezuela. That happened today, where the representative for Venezuela was in there talking and speaking to the rest of the people there. And they said, okay, we're going to have to reconvene and see what our course of action is going to be here to see if we are going to protect Venezuela. And is this a real legal situation that they can block because they're like, we have no they didn't, pre-warn us. And by dropping bombs on them, you have made that an act of war against Venezuela when you drop a bomb on them. They didn't fire at you. You dropped a bomb where there was innocent women and children. And they've shown that everywhere. It's all on the film. And you cannot go drop a bomb by Article 2, Section 4. You cannot do that. You have to go through Congress. That is the chain of command when you do that. Well, when they went to Iraq, they did not have to confer with Congress or the UN because it was an act of war against the United States. They're saying, hey, they did an act of war on our land. Now we're retaliating. So everything else was done in a retaliation.
President Obama initiated war without Congress in Libya and Syria and other Middle Eastern countries.
They love to say that. They love to say that. And
no one complained about President Obama. And what I'm saying is that whether a country throws a bomb in our face or not, by bringing your drugs here, by bringing your gangs here and failing to do anything about it and being a part of it so your country can gain finances is a threat to United States security.
Okay. What happened with Libya? Did we take over Libya? I don't think we took over Libya. Not at all. The people had their own election and the people ran their own country without the United States. But they love to say to Obama, but Obama did it and it was okay. What have we done in Libya? Nothing.
The point was he did it without Congress. So you wanted to make the point about Donald Trump. Oh, he did this without Congress. So did President Obama. And people don't talk about how under Obama's watch, no one deported more. Obama was ruthless with his deportation, where they didn't even have livable conditions. At least with Donald Trump, he's sending them right back. With Obama, they were in these cages in unkempt conditions. But no one talks about that. And the sad thing is they tried to hide that fact to make it seem as though Obama was this caring, this best president. No, a lot of things that he has done, a lot of things that you're accusing President Trump of doing, President Obama and other presidents that were Democrat has done the same thing, and it was only including with Biden putting out wanting a bounty, wanting Maduro. Biden spoke about it. He just never acted on it. Nobody said, oh, Biden, that country's not bothering us. They stood behind him. But when Donald Trump said it and used the money, $50 million to get them over here, now it's a problem. We've been talking about that for like 3 elections now.
Yeah. Why do when people talk about Trump, they go to Biden and they go to Obama? Obama hasn't been president in since 2016? Why do we go there? We're in 2025 and we're dealing with Donald Trump today. Why do they do that? Because when Biden was president, if they said something about Trump, they say, well, it's on Biden. Biden's the president now. It's on him. Well, you can't keep screaming Trump name. You're the president now, so you got to fix whatever it is you got to fix. Now that Trump is president, they're running. You skipped over Biden, and went straight to Obama to bring up this incident to try to validate the crime. In my opinion, it's a crime because it's just a hoax. He's just there to take the oil and the minerals and everything else. It ain't got nothing to do with drugs, and it's just BS. So instead of just calling it what it is and just say they took it, that's the way I see it. It's like people are trying to dress it up to look like something it isn't. This has nothing to do with bringing drugs in the country. This has nothing to do. So, okay, let's say somebody in Venezuela shot somebody with a gun, a Smith & Wesson made here in the United States. So United States is contributing to murder in Venezuela by making guns that's getting brought into Venezuela. That would be stupid, right? That would be very dumb to say something like that. And that's pretty much how this drug thing is right now. Like people are moving metric tons of drugs through the United States. One of the drug distributors and their main distributor is the UK. They're through Europe. Venezuela through Europe. All of their stuff normally goes there. They rarely move things to the United States. So drugs and things of that nature. I think instead of addressing the actual issue of their occupation for these refineries. Now they're saying that we were supposed to take some of the refineries, and most of them belong to the United States anyway. So they've been not paying us. They owed us. I gotta go look that up to see how true that is, because people try to make excuses for what they do. Remember, I told you, liberals are delusional. Conservatives are in denial. That is the truth. Conservatives, it'll be staring them right in the face. They won't see it. They won't acknowledge it. They'll say, what about Obama? What about Biden? It's like we're dealing with what Trump is doing right now because he's the current president of the United States. So it's all on him right now. We can't run away from the facts.
Obama reignited the debate over executive and legislative branches when it came to using executive power. So it's kind of interesting that you said, what about Obama? Obama sparked that conversation with how many times he used his executive power. That became an issue during the Biden administration. So I had to go back to President Obama. Not only that, a lot of people like to cite President Obama as the best president. So I use it in reference. If you want to talk about a different president, we could talk about Clinton and how a lot of people in my chat who didn't like Trump when they talk about Epstein files. Nobody wants to talk about Bill Clinton being picked photo.
Why do we need to talk about Clinton hasn't been president for about 20 years? Why are we going? Are we going to talk about Jimmy Carter? Are we going to go back to Jimmy Carter now? Why are we going back? Yes, we need to stay current. Right now, current is what we need. Currently, Donald Trump has issued an arrest warrant. Well, he went and actually seized Venezuela and took over these oil ports. Really, the female, the vice president, she's now sworn in as the president. That's where we currently are. The midterms are coming up. The Republicans are losing ground. They're scared, and they're telling Trump, you better do something because we're losing. And we're losing bad. And if we lose, all of this stops. And you know what they're going to do to you if you lose that election.
You missed my point, sir.
If he loses, they lose midterms, they got the votes. And they're going to impeach him. And he knows he gonna probably be in jail. He won't go to jail. He'll go to court and fight it forever, but he'll be out of probably. They probably can push him out of office. They'll have the votes to probably vote him out. He won't make it to the 4 terms. See, this is why he did this today and was trying to let the American people know how serious it is. They're serious about getting him out of there. That's why he said they're smart. Because he was like, I didn't even see this angle that they were doing and how they would have the numbers, they would have the votes. And it's like, oh man, they would. So if I do get impeached and then it has to go before, oh my God, they would have the numbers to get me out now. They could just push me right out of the White House. I'm gone. It's like, yeah, you could be gone on the 3rd time's a charm. So now you're going to have, now he really has to win midterms. They really have to win midterms. They don't win midterms.
We need to win midterms.
Yes, you have to, or it's over. Show's over.
I find it very un-American of you to want the president impeached, and not just because he gets impeached does not mean that he will leave
This
office.
was the last straw. I can't take no more. After this thing, because this creates, you're putting the United States in a bad light around the world. Did you hear the other presidents and world leaders No one is raving like, all right, way to go, the United States. They see exactly what this is. And now he's talking about, oh, we're going to buy Greenland. They want to buy Greenland. They want to buy these other countries. And people are like, can the United States even do this? So now, that's insulting to the rest of the world. And they're like, okay, it's like the game Battleship. You're buying territory. So they're thinking, okay, you're going to move missiles there to hold other countries hostage. And they're going to be defensive and they're going to start working. And this is how you have terrorist cells that come out of nowhere. This is how ISIS come up. This is how you have people staging coup. This is how you have Syria helping another country. This is why you have all these countries linking up behind the scenes, because you're doing things that is damaging the whole goodwill of the whole country. Everybody was staying in their own territories. And once you start trying to lay your foot down and step and take, and everybody here just like they cool with it. Hey, my gas is low. Hey, that's good. The next thing you know, somebody come over here and do a terrorist act where we lose countless lives. Then everybody gonna matter then. But they never see the cause and effect, what actually happens to make all of these things happen and come full circle. This is why when you have so much like discourse, no one likes a bully. So when you see discourse, that's why I'm shocked. People are just like, yeah, it's so okay. We took it. We need it. Shoot, we running low. We gonna take it. And it's like, look, that's not how you do things. You can go over there and make a deal. You trade for goods. You could trade for oil. You can trade for these things. You don't take from other people. I'm like, if somebody sent your kid to school and somebody was taking his lunch money and taking his books, what you gonna say? Well, that's what we do. He's bigger, he's stronger, so he took it from him. You ain't gonna say that. You gonna want your son to fight the bully. Stand up to him, do something. You gonna go talk to the principal, the teacher. Hey, he taking my son's stuff. You gonna fight for him. And that's not okay. So why would this be okay?
Dr. Manhattan has a question for you. He says, so we're supposed to just let Venezuela fuel Iran?
We're supposed to let them fuel Iran? Iran protects them. Their military forces protect them. Venezuela is not our business. That's their oil refineries.
Oh, sorry, let me go on mute.
That was their oil refineries. So if people want to buy oil, Russia's buying oil from them. China is actually buying oil from them too.
Venezuela is our business. Anytime you bring drugs into our country, you make yourself our business. Anytime you want to send your gangs and, as Trump says, the worst of the worst into our country, that's absolutely our business.
The United States send their guns into everybody else's country. So
they ask for them. They ask for them to protect.
So now it's everybody's guns. Is everybody's business.
They ask for them, and it's not the same. We're not sending criminals. We're not sending gang members. We're not sending all that into these other countries. We will get the death penalty, and no one's going to come fight for us if we put fentanyl in these other countries. And I've given you examples of that before. But what this president has done against the United States to help his country become wealthier is not okay, and that's why he's being charged.
You know how many American criminals?
Deny that.
You know how many American criminals are in Venezuela?
Not as far, not at this level.
Running and buying drugs and taking money, extorting people.
They're not leaving it in Venezuela. They didn't have the money to buy it. If America goes to those, if an American goes to those countries to smuggle drugs, is to bring back here, and it's not. They're not selling it to them there. Those people there can get it from their country. So that was a nice little reach. You tried.
It's not a reach. The Americans and Venezuela, they actually work together because of Major League Baseball, because they have baseball training camps that's over there that most of those players would come and play in the major league. Some of them who are good enough, they make it into the major leagues. A lot of Venezuelan players that come from Venezuela to play baseball. And the matter of fact, you can probably research it. There's about 4 or 5 of those guys that would come over to Venezuela. They would scout these actual players and bring them to the United States, move them to Florida, move them everywhere, get their families over here. Ozzie Guillen, who's Venezuelan, Chicago White Sox, him and his wife. So it's through baseball. So he says all just baseball. No, it's not all just baseball, but that's the majority of the connection with Venezuela and the United States. When all of those players who was making tens of millions of dollars would go home and they would furnish and build their communities, buy generators, buy different things to build up their areas and where they came from. But yeah, it's rough out there. The people in Venezuela was not living a great life because they were under dictatorship pretty much. With this president, they were keeping all of the money and they was keeping the people, poor. And the United States is not going to make it any better, but that was their system. But the people that were coming over from the United States, most of these people were criminals. They were working the scouting system. You got people in there manipulating to get guys on teams, trying to be their agent, representatives, sneaking back drugs into the United States. They was doing everything they could. These guys were the lowest of the low. Some of them were in jail in Venezuela. Some of them fled and went back there. They married a Venezuelan wife. Matt Damon did the same thing. Matt Damon bought property in Venezuela. His wife is Venezuelan. And it's weird, is right before all of this happened, I just did a video on Matt Damon and his wife on my Patreon going over this situation. So it's been countless times that we go to Venezuela and do things, and they say, well, it's not crimes. Yeah, you have real estate fraud that happens in Venezuela from Americans. And they make a deal and they get them sent back to America, and everything was everything.
Shoot.
All kind of crimes. But yet Venezuela is the only place that's bad because the USA say it's so. They made them a bunch of charges. Yep. So all right. It's wrong. We've seen people with trumped up charges that don't mean anything. We know exactly what this is about. It is not about drugs. It is about this oil. It's about these minerals. It's about the gold, the silver, all of the things that they have in Venezuela. Venezuela is a rich country. Same way they strip mine Haiti. Haiti is another rich country that's poor. The people are poor, but their mines are rich. They got diamonds. They have everything. Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. Well, Bill just signed off on it. Hillary's the monster. She the one went over there and destroyed them when they wanted their own independence. Now they was like, no, we're not going to let you do that. We're going to feed you. Bill Clinton came and apologized to the people of Haiti for that. That caused her to lose the election, really, because all the Haitian people here in the United States, they knew to go against her. She put her brother in charge of Haiti make his company, gave them the license so they can go into Haiti and control the mines and start drilling over there. Her brother. That woman is insane. She put him in charge to strip mine Haiti. And when she came to Chicago, the Haitian people tore her apart. And they came down there, they marched in front of Hillary Clinton. They waved that Haitian flag and said, oh, we know exactly what you did. That's right, Lily. It's true. I'm telling you, I speak in truth.
This is what I was looking for. Can I read something to you?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And for those of you that say I'm not listening, I'm obviously listening to him. I just wonder.
Thank you, Manhattan.
I'm sorry?
No, I said thank you, Dr. Manhattan.
I didn't see this comment. Let me put that up there for. Did Obama violate the War Powers Act? I was trying to figure this one out. Okay, let me just read it to you. So, and I know you're like, why bring up Obama? But it happened. You can't just erase history when it's convenient to do so. On Friday, June 3rd, 2011, the House of Representatives voted to rebuke President Obama for maintaining an... Oh, wait, that's not what I'm looking for. In other words, yes, he did. And I don't know if you remember anything about this, but he committed
So
a major
you
violation.
don't agree.
And that's what sparked the debate against the legislative and executive powers. President Obama did, and people did not say, oh, what about Congress? I'm telling you that again. So my question is, it seems as if you have more disdain for Republican presidents, but you don't hold Democratic presidents to the same standard. Instead, you want to say, oh, but President Trump is in office now. But my point to that was, you can't be upset. You can't hold President Trump to this ungodly standard that you didn't hold the other presidents to, because when the other presidents did it, it was okay. But when the right does it, it's a problem.
So we took over oil in Libya?
It doesn't have to, it doesn't.
We took over Libya. So if we didn't take over Libya, it's not the same thing.
Hey, Austin, Texas, I see you.
We didn't take over anything. Gaddafi was killed by the insurgent forces. All the U.S. did was neutralize used a drone to neutralize the car. They call it a limited military action. That was Hillary Clinton's call because she was Secretary of Defense. Well, another title she shouldn't have. I was just sitting here telling you how she strip mined Haiti. They're Democrats, and I don't like Hillary Clinton because I know what she is. She the one let those soldiers die in Benghazi. She let all of these things go down because she is a monster. Bill Clinton let all of those people die when they were over in Somalia. When they remember the film Black Hawk Down, Bill Clinton could have saved them. And that whole thing that broke out, all they had to do was send backup. They didn't send backup in time. So they got stuck and had to spend the night over there. And then so many people lost their lives because of that.
Oh
no, I've talked about them in great lengths because I know the truth about the Clintons. I know everything about them. So I know they were crooked from 21 Jump Street. You know, we gave Trump a chance. You see, I wear this shirt for America. Live American, die American. But when you start going in there acting like terrorists, but saying this is America, then you're trying to say what, American and terrorists? Are we doing that now? Because if we start acting like how other countries act, and we're okay in that, then it's free reign. So it sounds to me that you were okay with Obama doing a military action against Libya. So if you was okay with that, and you're okay and you like what Obama did with Gaddafi, and you have no complaints there, then it would make sense why you would think this is an okay thing for Trump to do.
I never said it was okay.
I disagree with it.
I never said it was okay.
I don't
felt like Obama overused his executive powers. I didn't like how he, we all know that Obama did not do what was best for the American people. Now, I'm not going to say that any president is all bad and all good. I'm not going to say that. But you do have to put our country first before any other country. And that's what Donald Trump does. Now, you keep bringing up oil. There is nothing wrong. Number one, America produces oil. We have a lot of oil. We just don't have the reservoir.
Why are we still in it?
Because we don't have the reservoir. I mean, we can have the oil, but we have to be able to produce the oil. Okay? Now, just because we're gonna get the oil back from Venezuela, that's not a bad thing. If they are having problems with their dictator over there and Donald Trump freed them from that problem, why shouldn't the United States reap the benefits of that? This isn't about oil, but it is something that you can gain from it as well. If you're going to make this country safer by getting rid of gang members, by stopping the flow of fentanyl coming into this country. And he already said that it's not just Venezuela, he's going to go after other countries as well. I'm all for it. And if we happen to get benefits from those resources, well, that's what happens when you take over a country. And now,
okay, well, let's see them go after China.
Not taking over. Donald Trump said the same thing about Gaza. I think that Donald Trump sometimes says things for shock value because he, even though he freed the hostages, a lot of the hostages in Gaza, and the people over there are happy with the work that he's doing over there. They are happy, just like the Venezuelans are happy. They're grateful for it. Why shouldn't the United States receive some type of payback?
Payback for what?
And we're going over there using our resources to free them, to make sure that
So that's what we were doing. We went over there to free these people, like
they were
Operation
living under a
Iraqi
dictatorship.
Freedom.
That country has been cited for humanitarian violations. So therefore, yes, the people were oppressed over there.
And that's why we decided we got people over here that need freedom. So we're going to go all the way to Venezuela. We just going to pick Venezuela and say, we need to help these people in Venezuela right now.
That's not what I'm saying.
Oh, man, that's cute.
What they did need help against the Venezuelan president. Yes, they did. And the United States had just the right resources to do it. That's why Biden was looking at what's happening in Venezuela. The Venezuelan people needed help. They've been asking for help, and they received it. They're celebrating over there.
Of course. They celebrated when we took down Saddam Hussein. Remember that? When we took Saddam Hussein, Operation Iraqi Freedom, we took that down. They celebrated. Then they's like, when is American troops going home? We want the troops to leave here.
They don't want the troops to leave.
We want them gone. Then they trained and spent all that money training the soldiers and how they're supposed to operate. Then it ended up getting taken all over again by new terrorists, the ISIS. Now they run everything. And it's just right back to the same problems they had before. So it just made things worse because we going into other countries trying to make them like the United States, and we're not good in the United States. So how are we going to go to somebody else's country and talk about we helping them and we ain't even helping the people in our own country?
Can we get reparations first? Not if the Democrats can have a say so. And they've proven that from the way they voted.
So what is your thing with Obama? You seem to say he was
I didn't say what is
no, you said he didn't put America first. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean by that?
Obama went against America's best interest. Obamacare is not affordable for the average American. The premiums are high, extremely high. The plans are limited, and we're still reaping we're still paying for Obamacare, and not in a good way.
Obamacare was the premium was about $15 to $25.
That's not the case
at a
for
minimum
everybody.
for the majority.
That's not the case for everybody because I couldn't use.
Back when it first started, it was around $15 to $27, depending on how many kids, your family. But the standard base pay for Obamacare was like $15 to $27 for the single individual and everything else. Now it's 10 times as much. Do you know why? Because your president that you love so much.
No, it had nothing to do with Donald Trump. Increased
Trump said
with Obamacare.
He was going to get rid of
when
he ran for election in 2016. He said, "I'm getting rid of Obamacare. It doesn't work."
It doesn't.
And that was in 2016 before he was even elected. He says, "We got to get rid of Obamacare because Obamacare doesn't work." No, shut up. It doesn't work. It never did. It was a bad thing.
Don't do that again.
So once he did,
either I have to agree.
Once he,
I was trying not to laugh, but okay. I'm sorry.
He, through all 4 years of his presidency, never changed Obamacare. He never changed. There was no health care plan in his whole 4 years of him hating Obamacare. Biden was in there. They still had the same Obamacare. Then they changed it from Obamacare to what it was actually called when it was out, which is the Affordable Health Care Act. Now they know that since they don't have it's working, they don't have no other plan in place. Let's just say, let's stop calling it the Obama plan and let's call it the Affordable Health Care Act, which is its original name. But they don't call it Obamacare no more because they say they still using it. So if it don't work, why were you still using it?
I've never used it.
No, I mean the country.
It's a toll on taxpayers, and we just need to get rid of it and come up with something better. It limits people where they can go. It's just not. It wasn't practical. But
Obama had been president for 10 years. Trump could have got rid of it in 2016. Why didn't he? Because he had nothing in place. For 4 years, your president had nothing in place for a health care plan. So why the question y'all need to pose him and saying, wait, man, you keep saying this don't work. What you got? Then he came out with the big, beautiful bullshit that could cut Medicaid like completely. Now it's like destroyed, and people who need Medicaid, and there's people out here with diabetes, all kind of like illnesses that need Medicaid. Those people are struggling to get it. So it has been a mess. It has been a complete mess this whole second term, and I'm like, man, this is bad. First term, I gave him the benefit of the doubt.
I find it interesting. You already made a judgment when he's only been in office for about a year. You got to give him time.
Look how much damage he's done. Look how much damage he's done in a year.
Crime has been lower. Crime has been lower in D.C. He cleaned up Washington, D.C. That's been high in crime. He did that. Yeah, Detroit. Let's not talk about the states that he's cleaning up. It's not his fault that states and courts are blocking him from coming in, but crime rate is lower because right now in the United States, this was one of the most dangerous countries to live in under the Biden administration, and no one cared. Just let anybody come into the border, and that's why Harris lost the campaign. You can't deny those facts. Now you can say all this other stuff about whatever, Obamacare and all that stuff, whatever. Obamacare is still problematic. All right. And we had to pay for that dearly, and we're still paying for it. But Donald Trump is bringing money into this country, with tariffs, bringing money in by saying, you know what, we're going to hire American, we're going to make in America, bring in jobs into the United States. That all goes to our benefit, and stop giving out all this free money to number one, that fear mongering. You kind of have that when you're saying that he cut Medicaid. No one has lost money from Medicaid, okay? We still have it. And people keep saying that Donald Trump did this. Donald Trump's going to cut Social Security. He didn't cut Social Security. People are still getting Social Security.
He can't. He's trying to privatize Social Security. And he's tried to do that already before. He wants to privatize it. But he didn't. I know my mother works with Social Security. She's been in the government for over 40 years. So she's the one that was with the people that was down there blocking Donald Trump, who was trying to privatize it. He still wants to do that, privatize Social Security. But he claims it's for the American benefit. They said Medicaid, SNAP benefits, thanks, Democrat. Social Security. See, here's the thing that people don't understand. Here's what's crazy about it, right? You got to pay your taxes, right? Everybody got to pay taxes. Imagine you had to pay somebody $100, right? Then you want to tell them what they should do with the money. Where do we do that at? You got to pay taxes no matter what. So what they do with the tax money is not your business. You be like, man, I want my tax money to go over there and help them. What do you care if the money go to here, there, or anywhere else? It's up to them to what they want to do with it. You just got to pay your taxes. That's just all to it. Where you care about where they allocate the money to after you pay the taxes. You don't get to tell them where to go with the tax money. Where do they start doing that at? I'm like, people be like, I don't want them. My taxes is paying their salary. Your taxes go to a lot of different things. Your taxes go to partially paying for police protection, fire department, different like things in the town, community, all these things that your tax money goes to. It's not just you. Everything's put in like a mutual fund, like so everything's pooled together in tax money. But it's more likely the poor end up paying a higher percentage of the tax. Mostly the middle class has been evaporated by the taxes because everything is going up. Property taxes is at an all-time high. When Barack Obama took over this country, it was at its worst state in it's ever been. We had a housing collapse that was going on. The prices of gas. Bush administration ran this country into the ground. And Dick Cheney and Bush ruined this country. And because of that, Obama came through and made change and brought everything back around. We had a housing market that was working. Gas prices was back down. People were coming over here bringing money in. They had good communion. There was no real wars going on. And then I didn't see y'all congratulating him going to get Osama bin Laden. Y'all claimed y'all wanted to get Osama bin Laden all them years. And Obama was the president and they got Osama bin Laden. Y'all didn't even care. Y'all act like y'all didn't care about it no more. So this is why I say y'all just pick and choose what y'all like more than anybody else. Trump do something, y'all run to Clinton, y'all run to Obama, y'all run to everything else and don't hold him accountable. He is the president of the United States of America. So he right now has to atone for the things that he is doing. Can't run to no other presidency, can't run to nothing else. Nope, it's about what he's doing right now and how he's building bad relations with all of these other countries, which is going to link up and make things harder for us. If you put tariffs on people, they're going to pay it and they're going to be disgruntled that they have to pay it. Then they're going to find a workaround to go around. I showed people the other day, China is already prepared. Why do you think Trump had to back down off some of the tariffs that make the money for the United States? Cell phones and any electronic devices, there's no tariffs on them. So he took that down because that's the bulk of the money. You're not going to get no unless you're going to be paying $400 and $700 and $1,300 for a cell phone. They knew they couldn't do that, so they had to approve and not put tariffs on electrical devices. But China's already getting ready to work away from the United States by building that railing system that I told people back in 2020, and everything started coming around full circle because they built it. It's up and running. And it's the biggest and largest railing system in the world. And it goes all the way around to China. I mean, through China, it's going to Africa. They're building one to go all the way to the UK. And they're going to cut out all distribution to the United States. And the United States will have to pay, not getting it from China no more. They're going to have to be going to pay through the nose to get it from UK, everywhere else. And it's going to be expensive for the United States. And they're going to cut out all the middlemen. They're trying to acquire Taiwan back, and the United States is fighting for that because Taiwan has their independence, but it's right next to China. And the United States used Taiwan to make a lot of their products too. So Taiwan has been protected by the United States. So we actually have boats in the water right now outside of Taiwan. China have boats, their docks with their ships right outside the borders right now as we speak. They've been there for months. They got those air carriers right there in case anything kick off. China is really trying to make a move now because of the acts of the United States. And this is what I'm saying, cause and effect. Yes, if short-term thing, you think this is good. Like, oh, we getting all this money, all this tariff money. You know what the tariff money is going to? Military, army. Nothing is going towards us. There's 384 million United States people on this planet. And they saying we all get $2,000. $2,000? That ain't even enough for, I'm like, $2,000.
Nobody turns it down. Nobody turns it down.
I mean, turn it down. I mean, what is it going to do? I mean,
we're going to take it.
All the tariff money that they got coming in, all we getting is $2,000 for every person on the United States is getting $2,000.
It has with tariffs. we're trying to get rid of federal taxes. We're trying to get rid of taxes. So no.
Do you
I
think
don't
they're
have
gonna
any
get rid of
reference to
federal
that,
taxes?
but people don't care because they don't pay taxes. So don't give a damn.
Federal
Use
taxes
it
aren't going
for
anywhere. Federal taxes isn't going anywhere. You know who's gonna
they
benefit
can
from
because
the
of the time that
tariffs?
tariffs. Our country used to be
Elon
run on
Musk,
our
Elon Musk,
our
and
panel.
all of the wealthy 1%.
Our country. Oh my goodness, my brain's getting tired. I'm gonna have to go to bed. But our panel. See what happened on our country used to be ran on tariffs, not taxes.
And why did they stop it?
To fund the Civil War.
Right. So they realized tariffs wasn't the way to go.
Tariffs was the way to go. Tariffs was absolutely the way to go.
It's not. It's going to create distrust with people.
No, it's
and
not.
Once you try to force people to do things,
it's not going to create
people
distrust.
find workarounds. We wouldn't need to do tariffs if we had manufacturing back in our own country. That is the problem. We stopped manufacturing. We started becoming a place that distributes. They just distribute their product to us, and we just buy it. We
will start manufacturing because tariffs will force. So if you buy foreign, you're gonna have to pay a tariff tax. Okay, now that will force people to buy American. That's it, and you don't have to worry about it. So tariffs, there's a lot of benefits of tariffs. It brings money into this country, and Donald Trump finds a lot of ingenious ways to bring money into this country, and that's what we all want, and that's what we need. So there's gonna be some pushback because people are afraid of change. But this is good change. It has been proven to work before.
This tariff thing will be over in about a year when Trump is impeached. All right. So we go. I love these conversations. You lucky you cute.
What'd you say?
So you lucky you cute. I can't.
You're being nice. Well, it's always nice having you.
But we don't.
It's nice having you. Yeah, you guys subscribe to his channel. I don't know how to drop a link in a vertical live. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Subscribe to his channel. Go ahead.
Yep, I want to say thank y'all for having me up here. Don't forget anybody new here, subscribe to this page, hit the like button. He said, lucky, she earned it. Yeah, hit the like button and subscribe to the page. As you see, I live American, I die American. It's all about America, and this is what's best for America. Is not this oil thing. This is going to create bad relationships with other countries, and it's going to make problems for us down the road. So you got to think long term. Trump thinks short term, and that's that.
Thank you, Sino. I appreciate you. Hopefully we're still friends, y'all. Hopefully we're still friends. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll work it out. We'll see.
Okay. All right, you guys. Well, I got to get up in a few hours, so I'm gonna bid y'all good night.
Yep, and I'm about to go live and do some work. So
you going live right now?
Yeah, I'm finna go live. You got me woke up now. I'm charged. So now I'm gonna go live in a little bit.
Okay, I'll see you over there until I fall asleep.
No, just go to sleep. You don't want you.
I gotta wash my face. Like I can't just go to bed. Like I gotta shower up and stuff. You said just go to bed. All right then.
All right. See ya.
See you later. I have to when I get real tired, I get delirious. I'm gonna go raise hell at Sino's. Go Dr. Manhattan, go represent. You guys, thank y'all for he's been reading my comments. I bet he won't debate. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. I love the conversations, you guys. I learned a lot. Hopefully y'all got something from me too. I think this was a healthy exchange. America first. Donald Trump is doing what he can for this country. He's sacrificing for this country. I'm not here to preach about Donald Trump. I'm just here to share the news with you and what's going on. And I'm going to continue to pray for this country. All right. I went to the military. I was willing to die for this country. I love this country. All right. And we can all make it here. But we've got to put America's interest first. All right. All right, you guys. You're in a horrible state of denial. Could we talk about it later? Bye, you guys. Thank y'all for hanging out. Mods, thank you so much. But being dumb and cute is not the same thing. She's not. Ooh, that was hard. Can I get a nice comment before? Can we end on a good note? I'm gonna look for something nice before I. Okay. Oh well, you guys. I'm gonna be very tired tomorrow, so I'm gonna go. Whatever. Bye, y'all. It was good being here. I appreciate that, Tyler. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It was good to talk with you, and thanks for sharing. Bye, you guys. Good night.